Chapter 192. Everyone's face was covered with a layer of gloomy clouds. An inexplicable, sorrowful atmosphere enveloped the entire office. The eyes of Hu Ruoyun and many other female teachers immediately turned red, but they still tried their best to hold back their tears, not letting them fall. Qin Fengyang's heart suddenly tightened. My life's work was all in Second High. When I came to Feng City, Second High was in ruins. Under the previous principal's request, I rebuilt Second High from the ruins. I didn't dare to slack off for decades, and finally Second High became what it is today. My life's work. He Yuanyue looked at Li Changjiang and said, "Now Li Changjiang has succeeded as the principal. You are diligent and dedicated to your duties. I am assured that Second High will be supported by you in the future. Changjiang will follow the old principal's example and do his best for Second High." Li Changjiang stood up and said almost as if he was making an oath, "I will not let Second High be humiliated because of me. Ruoyun can pass on my mantle." He Yuanyue looked up at Hu Ruoyun and said, "If I go, Ruoyun can inherit my position in Second High and take good care of Second High for me?" "Yes, old principal." Hu Ruoyun choked with sobs. "Vice Principal Liu, you helped me stabilize Second High in the past. Now you are helping Changjiang to manage Second High. You have made great contributions. In the future, I still hope that Vice Principal Liu will not forget your original intention and be the same as before." The white-haired Vice Principal Liu stood up calmly, his eyes slightly red. "Yes, old principal. The thing I am most concerned about now is the teaching staff of Second High. In recent years we have been infiltrated by the UMNO Alliance. This is a great humiliation. In the future, everyone has to be responsible for recruitment. If there are similar cases, the dedicated leaders can directly turn themselves into Star Shield." He Yuanyue said, "In the future, we can consider recruiting some of the students who graduated from Second High. After all, they are the children that we have nurtured and trained. They can be trusted. Yes, I hope that all the students who come to Second High will not lose the opportunity to study because of their poor family background." Everyone stood up in unison. "Yes, I hope that in the future, the students of Second High School will be more vigilant when they spar with each other inside the school and train outside the school. Try your best to ensure that the students' hearts and minds reach the standards of a warrior before they graduate. Regardless of whether they enter or drop out of school, their hearts and battle experience must be in place. I've seen a lot of cruelty in school, so I'll be able to handle it more easily when I'm in the martial world. The teaching staff must have the heart of a loving mother to guide the students earnestly, and must also have the heart of a strict father to teach the students strictly." Yes. When He Yuanyue said this, she closed her eyes and took a few deep breaths. She drank a mouthful of ginseng tea and opened her eyes tiredly. She said, "That's all for Second High's matters. Everyone, I hope you won't let me down. I will do my best." Everyone stood up together. "Next, there are some personal matters of mine, some regrets and some unfinished business. It doesn't matter if any of you have the time, or if you have the opportunity, you can help me fulfill my wish. If not, then forget it," He Yuanyue said softly. However, the people below all pricked up their ears. Everyone realized that this was the old principal's dying wish. They must help her fulfill it. "In this life I once had a wish, and that was to set foot on the UMNO Alliance's mainland. In the UMNO Alliance's mainland, I'll wield my sword and travel everywhere. I'll kill one person in 10 steps, and I won't leave a single trace for 1,000 miles. It's a pity that this wish is too great. I'm destined to not be able to fulfill it. It can be said that this is the biggest regret of my life." He Yuanyue's eyes were filled with tears. Although the Sun Moon Pass is a pass for men, it's a pass for defense. I, He Yuanyue, cannot break into the UMNO Alliance's mainland to kill the enemy. This is the regret of my life. Qin Fengyang clenched his fists. He Yuanyue said solemnly, "Back then, I had 3 enemies who caused me to be unable to cultivate. One of them has already been executed, and the other 2 have escaped without a trace. It's also the regret of my life that I can't kill them with my own hands." Qin Fengyang took in a deep breath. "Back then I had an elder brother who was also a peerless genius. His name was He Yijian. Back then at the Sun Moon Pass, the UMNO Alliance's plague was rampant, and there was no cure. My elder brother led 300 brothers and broke out of the Sun Moon Pass. They entered the UMNO Alliance's territory in search of an antidote. In the end, only 10 out of the 300 survived. My elder brother was not among them. According to the soldiers who returned, my elder brother went missing in the UMNO Alliance's mainland. No one knows where he is. My elder brother was the pride of my family, a hot-blooded man. However, he could not return to his hometown in life, and could not return to his homeland in death. I wanted to find him, but I was powerless. This is the regret of my life. Everyone was in an uproar. He Jian was actually the old principal's elder brother? Legend had it that he was already a cloud transformation realm cultivator. He wore a spotless white robe and led 300 men to break out of the Sun Moon Pass and kill their way into the UMNO Alliance. He was He Jian. He was actually He Yuanyue's elder brother? Everyone couldn't help but respect him. However, Qin Fengyang's eyes revealed an uncertain expression. He Jian? He Yuanyue's elder brother? Elder brother. Qin Fengyang seemed to understand in an instant. It was elder brother, not big brother or elder brother. And I understand now. He Yuanyue have taught for dozens of years. Second high school students can be said to be all over the world. Countless good men of second high school have achieved great things in the Yanwu continent. My heart is filled with joy, but there are still some imperfections. Until now, no one in second high school has been able to shake the world and reach the ranks of the peerless geniuses in the continent. 200 years ago, young Master Blue Blade appeared in the first high school. Today, in just a short 200 years, young Master Blue Blade has become a hero above the cloud transformation realm. Young Master Blue Blade is the pride of the first high school. Although our second high school has gone through many years of hard work and exhaustion, and many talents have emerged, we have never been able to surpass the first high school. This is because of young Master Blue Blade's reputation. He Yuanyue said softly, "Everyone, please take good care of the students. I hope that in the near future, our second high school will also have a famous person who can shake the world. If there is such a seedling, I hope that there will be someone who can protect him and help him soar into the sky." He Yuanyue, many years of a dream. Li Changjiang said softly, "Old principal, the goddess of spiritual thoughts is also considered to be from second high school. It will not be difficult for her to soar into the sky in the future. We will do our best to help her." He Yuanyue shook her head. Spiritual thought spent very little time in second high school. Then she entered the Kunlun Taoist sect. She is a genuine member of the Kunlun Taoist sect. Our second high school will not go so far as to forcefully pull the golden face of others onto our own face. She is not a student of second high school, do you understand? Li Changjiang said repeatedly, "Yes, yes." He Yuanyue sighed softly, 100 years of white hair in a dream, gradually knowing how desolate the world of mortals is. The young ambition is still regretful, looking back, the vicissitudes of life. This seemed to be a poem, but He Yuanyue only read the first 4 lines and did not continue. She sat in silence for a long time and muttered, "Meeting adjourned." Qin Fengyang walked out of the meeting room in silence. He stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window outside and looked at the sunset outside. He did not speak for a long time. Stepping on the continent of the UMNO Alliance, wielding a sword to travel the world, slaughtering the enemies who violated the border. This wish is the regret of my life. Back then, the 2 enemies who caused me to be unable to cultivate. I cannot kill them with my own hands. This is the regret of my life. My elder brother He Jian can't return to his hometown in life. He can't return to his homeland in death. This is the regret of my life. Our second high school can produce a signboard to protect him, to help him soar into the sky, to reach the clouds. He Yuanyue, many years of a dream. At this moment, the lake in Qin Fengyang's heart was rising and falling endlessly. His thoughts were surging, and it was difficult to stop. I completely know you said all this with only one real intention, and that is to not let me die. You don't want me to go with you, that's all. I know, but how can I let you live in regret for the rest of your life? How can I let you die in peace? After you die, there will be no one in this world who is worthy for me to stay and be attached to. After you die, my heart will follow you. A person whose heart is dead will die even if he lives. You really put a lot of thought into this. You know what I care about the most and you know what I look forward to the most. You also know that I can't reject any of your requests. Especially. These are the regrets of my life. Qianqian. You're so ruthless. You made my determination to go with you, but it actually wavered. Qin Fengyang stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window in a daze. He looked at the sunset, but he did not move a single step. Lan Lan walked out of the office and looked at Qin Fengyang's back from afar. From the bottom of her heart, she felt an indescribable sense of desolation. That afternoon, Qin Fengyang did not wait for his students outside the gravity chamber. Zhou Xiaoduo carried weights and moved around in the gravity chamber. He wanted to familiarize himself with the current situation as soon as possible. In just one afternoon, Zhou Xiaoduo had used up 27 pieces of medium-grade Astral Soul's jade. Such a speed was simply inconceivable to him before this. At this moment, Zhou Xiaoduo could clearly feel that the aura within his body was surging and surging. The power of the Flaming Sun Sutra, mixed with the heat that could burn everything, was colliding and surging within his body. The two forces were constantly looking for a chance to break through. In just one afternoon, there were already 3 times when the qi in his body rushed to the Xiantian stage. It was as if Zhou Xiaoduo could break through with just a thought. It was so indescribably easy. It was unimaginably easy. However, Zhou Xiaoduo gritted his teeth and tried his best to force the qi that had reached the Xiantian stage back. He adjusted the qi back to his dantian and continued to flow through his meridians. This method was slightly easier the first and second time. It was not too difficult. However, on the third time the qi was surging like never before. It was almost unstoppable. It was probably during this period that Zhou Xiaoduo continued to absorb the qi. The true origin in his body became more and more abundant. It was getting thicker and thicker. His dantian gradually felt full. Once he started to move, it was like the floodgates of the Yangtze River had been opened. It was unstoppable. Zhou Xiaoduo, who had been suppressing the breakthrough, could clearly feel that his dantian was expanding bit by bit. He practiced his fists and legs with all his might. Galaxy step, dragon gate leg, star plucking palm. He exhausted the surging qi in his body. However, as long as he circulated his qi, the true origin would immediately return and fill his dantian. Chapter 193. The speed of his recovery was becoming faster and faster. Therefore, it was more and more difficult to reverse the flow of vital energy. This operation is very similar to suddenly having the urge to fart in a very serious situation in front of a large number of people. Zhou Xiaoduo tried to find joy in his misery as he summed up this feeling. I know that this is the most serious situation. Once I do it, it'll be too embarrassing. I can't let it go, so I try my best to hold it in. Then the qi will be forced back, go around in my body and rush back again. Then I hold it in again. Then it will come back again. Again and again, wave after wave, higher than the previous one. Zhou Xiaoduo felt that he was working too hard. But it doesn't seem to be the same thing. If I hold it in for too long, it'll turn into a hiccup. But the true inner force won't have such a change. Also, if I hold it in for too long, once it goes out of control, it'll bring out other things. The true inner force won't bring out other things. Zhou Xiaoduo worked hard, trying to control the flow of the restless Zhan Qi as he continued to cultivate. Generally, he would laugh out loud at his own random thoughts. I'm so talented. I can't believe I've thought of such a serious matter of breaking through as a fart. Zhou Xiaoduo held it in 5 times until he finished cultivating in the gravity room. He felt that his dantian had been blown up like a pig's urine bubble. It was full of qi. Yes, true inner force. This was the only time he had done it since he entered the gravity room. Zhou Xiaoduo pushed the door open and walked out, sweating profusely. Once he saw the outside air, more sweat gushed out from his hair. He shook his head and countless drops of water fell in all directions. Teacher Gu was a little puzzled. What's wrong? Why are you holding your legs? Are you hurt anywhere? Zhou Xiaoduo's legs were clamped tightly, and he almost moved them out. Ahem, it's nothing. I'm just about to break through. Holding it in a few more times will increase my potential. Zhou Xiaoduo explained with a hollow laugh. Break through to the innate stage? Yes. So you plan to hold it in. Hold it in a few more times? Teacher Gu was taken aback. Could it be that this brat was really a prodigy? Breaking through so soon? Yes. Even if I control myself and don't break through, what does that have to do with you clamping your legs? Teacher Gu frowned and looked at him. You're holding it in and not breaking through, not holding it in and not farting. What you should be doing now is relaxing your whole body. Huh. Swishaoduo's eyes widened. Relax. If you clamp your legs like this, it will only make your body more tense and sensitive. Only when your true energy is in a relaxed state can you better control it. Look at you. You look like you have shit all the way to your anus but can't find the toilet. What are you trying to do? Teacher Gu was furious. Do you need to clamp your legs together to hold your breath? Are you taught by Teacher Qin? Zhuxiaoduo's face twitched. She obediently relaxed her legs and acted as if nothing had happened. She then pretended to jump a few times before she said with relief, "Isn't it because I don't have any experience?" Instinctively, I thought of the story of how you can't fart during the school assembly. Even someone as thick-skinned as Wuxiaoduo felt a little embarrassed at this moment. Teacher Gu gave him a thumbs up. What a talent! As she spoke, she went to open the other doors and dragged Wan Lixio and the others out. As usual, these guys had trained themselves until they were half useless. They couldn't even walk on their own. The 5 of them lay on the ground, panting heavily. Their faces were pale. Teacher Gu came back and looked at the 5 of them. She said in surprise, "Not bad. Each of you is on the verge of breaking through. However, you're still some distance away from Zhua controlling your own breakthrough." Long Yuxing lay on the ground and said with difficulty, "We will definitely catch up to him." The others didn't even have the strength to nod. They just snorted a few times. They were so tired that they could fall asleep as soon as they closed their eyes. It's understandable that they're sleeping, but why are you still sleeping? Teacher Gu's mind was full of questions. She kicked Li Zhongming. You've been in deep sleep for 5 hours. Why are you still sleeping? Li Zhongming said with difficulty, Teacher Gu. I'm really resting when I'm sleeping now. Sleeping inside is cultivating. It's different. Teacher Gu rolled her eyes. You're not allowed to sleep. Stand up. Look at how fat you are. You're so careless. The others have trained themselves to death, but you're still sleeping. She kicked Li Zhongming mercilessly. She didn't touch the others. She just kept kicking Li Zhongming. Even though they were exhausted, Li Chenglong, Wan Lixio, and the others couldn't help but laugh when they saw this scene. However, no one was willing to defend Li Zhongming. Teacher, Li Zhongming is cultivating the Great Dream Divine Technique. It's a family technique. Sleeping is cultivating. No one said this sentence. Yes, they wouldn't say it even if they were beaten to death. They just like to see the little fatty get beaten up. It was pleasing to the eye. Swishaoduo was obviously getting used to the current situation. He came out a little earlier than the others, so he had recovered some of his energy. He went to get 2 buckets of cold water, grabbed the 5 people by their hair, and pushed them into the buckets. He pressed them up and down and bullied them. Okay. Bear me. The 5 of them were in a sorry state. However, they recovered some of their strength with the help of the cold water. They stood up shakily. They looked at each other. Each of them looked like a drowned rat. They laughed together and were full of energy. Swishaoduo's eyes narrowed. He glanced at the crowd. The moment he saw Long Yuxing, he suddenly frowned. Long Yuxing's face was full of black smoke. Bad luck was on his head. And it was slowly gathering. It was almost tangible. This was a disaster. And it was a great disaster. This was a real disaster of blood. Swishaoduo's face suddenly became serious. School is over. Wan Lixio shouted happily. Let's go. Wait a moment. Swishaoduo led the way in front. All of you follow me. Okay. The few of them followed behind. They walked until they were under a tree not far from the classroom. Swishaoduo said in a deep voice, Li Changming, Li Chenglong, you Moi and you guys go home. I have some private matters to discuss with Long Yuxing. Li Chenglong opened his mouth but didn't say anything. After a pause he said, okay. He pulled Li Changming and Yu Moyan away. What's the matter? Long Yuxing's matter is our matter. Why are you pulling us away in such a hurry? Yu Moyan and Li Changming expressed their dissatisfaction. Why don't you guys understand? Zhua's meaning behind his words is that he doesn't need us now. Why are you guys so gossipy? Do you think we'll let you go when we need to do something? Li Chenglong said. Just wait patiently. Long Yuxing and Wan Lixio looked solemn as they watched the three of them walk away. Zua, is this what you said a few days ago? Yes. Zua Xiaoduo's face was heavy. Xiaolong, did you go home and tell them what I told you a few days ago? Long Yuxing frowned. When I got home, the first thing I did was to tell my father, my grandfather, and my uncles. But they didn't believe me. They didn't want to move. Sigh. As early as a few days ago, Zua Xiaoduo told Long Yuxing to remind his family to move to avoid disaster. Long Yuxing had obviously tried very hard, but it was useless. There were usually two situations. One was that people achieved something through hard work, and the other was that no matter how hard they tried, they still didn't achieve the desired result. Similarly, it was all about people. The former was a blessing, but the latter was most likely a tragedy. The black gas between your eyebrows is getting more and more solid. I'm afraid it will come true in the next few days. Today, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. Zua Xiaoduo said softly. Something big will happen in these 4 days. Long Yuxing, no matter what method you use, you must make your family leave your old house. Make sure that no one is at home in these 4 days. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable. What you're going to face is a regional disaster, not a man-made disaster. As long as you hide, you can avoid it. Why don't you hide? Zua Xiaoduo frowned, expressing his confusion. Long Yuxing was so depressed that he wanted to die. You don't know how stubborn my grandfather and father are. But then again, they haven't seen your ability with their own eyes, so they don't believe in the saying of disaster falling from the sky. Now that the old principal has endorsed me, they still don't believe me. Zua Xiaoduo's eyes widened. I also used the old principal's endorsement to persuade them, but they just don't believe me. What can I do? Long Yuxing was extremely uncomfortable. I even thought of using force, but with my current strength, even if I use force, I can't do anything. Each of them can easily beat me up. Everyone could see Long Yuxing's powerlessness. Wan Lixio was also anxious at the side. You can't say anything else. I'll give you a way, an effective way. Long Yuxing was overjoyed when he heard this. He said happily, boss, you have a way. Tell me quickly. Zua Xiaoduo looked at Wan Lixio. You'll be the one to do it. Wan Lixio was stunned, and then her face turned red. Me? You're the most effective way. You're their future daughter-in-law. Everyone in the old Long family has to give you some face. Zua Xiaoduo said. You'll think of a way to get everyone to hide and avoid the most dangerous 4 days. Wan Lixio was shy, embarrassed, and anxious. If you want me to step forward, I can do it. But what can I do? Traveling. Zua Xiaoduo had a flash of inspiration as he thought of his parents. No. Long Yuxing shook his head. I just came back last month. Dinner? Or a party? As Zua Xiaoduo was talking, he suddenly felt an aura coming from above, and then from below. It became more and more turbulent. He subconsciously clamped his legs together, and his face twisted. Wait for me. It's coming again. Chapter 194. Long Yuxing and Wan Lixio asked with concern, Zua, is your stomach uncomfortable? Didn't you bring any tissues? No. Zua Xiaoduo was sweating profusely. I'm holding my breath. Wan Lixio blushed and rolled her eyes. Long Yuxing was also speechless. Are you going to break through again? Can you not make an expression like you have diarrhea when you're guiding your true spirit qi? Well, how many times have you done this? No. You'll know when it's your turn. Zua Xiaoduo rolled his eyes and squeezed his legs together. He tilted his head and the muscles on his face twitched. After a while, he finally returned to normal. Okay, let's continue. Wan Lixio and Long Yuxing couldn't look at each other anymore. The crisis was over, and Zua Xiaoduo's mind became flexible. Why don't you see if you can persuade your father? Why? The two families are gathered together. What kind of social gathering is this? Both of your families are related. It's logical to find a reason to make an appointment. Long Yuxing is too young, and the elders in the family don't trust him. But if you come forward and persuade your family, the effect will be different. Zua Xiaoduo said. But even if my father comes forward, he can only invite Long Yuxing and his family. Other than his parents, who else can he invite? Wuxia was melancholy. The other uncles and Grandpa Long won't come. There's no excuse to invite all of them, especially Grandpa Long. He's an elder. Then let your grandpa invite them. Duo said, you can find any reason. For example, you found a good holiday villa, and the two families can go out and relax for a few days. Isn't this a normal invitation? Wuxia rolled her eyes and said, you make it sound so easy. Who is my father? He's the governor of Phoenix City. Phoenix City is in a perilous situation now. Go out and relax for a few days? It's hard to even spare a day of free time. Duo knew that Wuxia was telling the truth and couldn't help but secretly worry. What kind of method should he think of to transfer this family out? The timing had to be precise. Duo steeled his heart and activated the Deva Eye to look at Long Yusheng's face. Long Yusheng. Tomorrow night at midnight, he would encounter the aftermath of a great battle. His clan would be destroyed overnight. Tomorrow night. Tomorrow night. Duo was shocked by the result. So fast. It was fortunate that he had taken a second look. Otherwise, the Long clan would have been finished. Regardless of whether it was Long Yusheng or Wuxia, it was impossible for them to decide and take action today. Long Yusheng, I remember that your family's cultivation method is the Silver Dragon Heart technique, which can only be changed after reaching the innate stage, right? Duo asked. Yes. Then, do you know the specific characteristics of this cultivation method? Of course it has its special characteristics. It's even very strong. It's said that when one reaches the peak, a silver dragon will appear with one attack. At the final level, millions of silver dragons can appear at the same time. It's earth-shaking and earth-shattering, covering the sun and sky. Long Yusheng coughed and said, but this is what my grandfather told me. I don't know if it's true or not. My family has kept this cultivation method. Until now, it seems that only a certain great-grandfather from many generations ago has practiced to the third level. My grandfather, my father, my uncles. Actually, they haven't been able to officially enter. Long Yusheng was a little embarrassed. They haven't officially entered. It's a bit of a trap. Duo muttered to himself. Long Yusheng was a little embarrassed and said, in the younger generation of my family, I'm the only one who has the chance to reach the innate stage before the age of 18. Then I'll try the Silver Dragon Heart technique to see if it fits. The others have already confirmed that they can't. Alas. Duo narrowed his eyes and said, you can definitely do it. There's no doubt about that. Definitely? Long Yusheng said in surprise. He now firmly believed in Xiaoduo's physiognomy. Well, you can definitely do it. By the way, how many levels are there in your family's Silver Dragon Heart technique? Duo asked curiously. 12 levels. Cough cough cough. Long Yusheng was extremely embarrassed. 12 levels. Then the most powerful person in your family has only practiced to the third level? Are you kidding? Duo was shocked. How useless was that? Cough cough. My great-grandfather is said to have practiced to the peak of the nascent soul grandmaster level. But then he got stuck. Long Yusheng was also very embarrassed. Nascent soul. Grandmaster. Xiaoduo's eyes almost rolled out of their sockets. In the past generations, the most powerful person was only at the peak of the nascent soul grandmaster level. It had to be said that Master Zhuo was very arrogant now. He dealt with nascent soul cultivators every day and subconsciously thought that nascent soul cultivators were just cabbages that could be found everywhere. Long Yusheng's face turned red and he said angrily, Boss, who is the most powerful person in your family? What level is he at? Duo was stunned and murmured, You asked the right question. You have ancestors to talk about. I don't know who my ancestors are. My dad didn't say. Master Zhuo was embarrassed and angry. I'm talking about your family's big matter. Why are you interrupting? Don't you know that people will die if you talk nonsense? Long Wan and the other two rolled their eyes in unison. They didn't know who was the one who interrupted first. Who was the one who couldn't compare? Let's do this and do this and do this and naturally everything will be fine. Duo said, Come with me now. We have to hurry up and find something. In any case, before tomorrow's dinner, your family can't stay at home anymore. No matter what, you have to go back in the morning of the day after tomorrow. Long Yuxing was shocked. The great calamity will happen tomorrow night. Yes, it will happen tomorrow night. There's no time to lose. Let's go quickly. The three of them hurried out of the school gate. It was already dusk. The three of them rushed directly to Zhuochanglu's Astral Soul Stone shop. Zhuochanglu was about to lock the door. Dad! Zhuoxiaoduo took the lead and rushed over. Zhuochanglu turned his head. Why are you here? These two are my classmates. Zhuoxiaoduo introduced them. Wan Lixio and Long Yuxing bowed respectfully at the same time. Hello, Uncle Zhua. Wan Lixio looked at Zhuochanglu and thought, Zhuoxiaoduo's father is so handsome. No wonder Zhuoxiaoduo is not ugly. But this kind of calm temperament, this kind of mature demeanor. Why didn't Zhuoxiaoduo learn it? What's the matter? Zhuochanglu greeted Wan Lixio and the others, then asked Zhuoxiaoduo, tell me what's the matter? Are you interested in something in my shop again? It's like this. We have an urgent matter and need a piece of dragon skin. Zhuoxiaoduo said. Dragon skin. Zhuochanglu's eyes widened. This time he was really surprised. Dragon skin? This thing. Do you think your father has it? No, it's fine as long as it's similar. It doesn't matter even if it's fake. Zhuoxiaoduo pulled Zhuochanglu to the side and explained everything to him. Zhuochanglu finally understood. This matter can't be delayed. But I really don't have the thing you want. Oh, why don't you understand? Just an excuse. Say that you've found the true dragon's vein or the true dragon's hidden treasure. It's fine as long as it's similar. As long as you can get the whole family to go out and work for the whole night tomorrow, it'll be fine. Zhuoxiaoduo simply revealed the whole truth of the matter. Zhuochanglu fell into deep thought. It's not appropriate. This method doesn't solve the root of the problem. The most important thing is that it may not work. Once it's exposed, the Long family's anger is secondary. It's more important that they can't save the lives of the whole family. Zhuochanglu was worthy of being called Zhuoxiaoduo's father. He was a wily old fox. He rolled his eyes and came up with an idea for his son. You think of a way. Find a few experts and destroy the Long family tonight. Won't that be enough? The whole family doesn't have a place to stay. They can't stay in the ruins, right? Won't everything be solved then? Oh! Zhuoxiaoduo slapped his forehead. This really woke him up from his stupor. Not bad, not bad. It's much easier to operate this way. Zhuoxiaoduo was infinitely regretful. Why didn't I think of this? Dad, you're so smart. As the saying goes, the older the ginger, the spicier it is. Zhuochanglu snorted and unhurriedly closed the door. He thought, your father has demolished more houses than you have ever seen. This is absolutely not an exaggeration. I'm afraid that I'll still be rich even if it's tens of thousands of times more. Was there a need to think about this kind of thing? Wasn't it just a matter of a slap? He actually had to deal with the dragon skin treasure map, the true dragon's land, and all kinds of complicated things. Why bother thinking about it? Then let's hurry back to the school and find Mr. Qin. He must be familiar with this work. He hasn't done anything yet. Speaking of this kind of rough work, Zhuoxiaoduo immediately thought of Qin Fangyang. Mr. Qin was undoubtedly the best choice for a hired thug. After midnight, he directly covered his face and rushed over. I'll give Mr. Qin a call first, in case this old man is lonely and goes out to fool around again. The three little fellows ran off like a wisp of smoke. From afar, Zhuoxiaoduo's voice could be heard. Dad, I'll be home late for dinner tonight. Remember to leave some food for me. Leave more, I'm starving to death. Zhuochanglu, he's really raising a pig. He's so old, but he doesn't know how to eat vegetables. He only knows how to eat and drink from me. Zhuochanglu sighed. But this kid reminded me of a lot of things when he talked about the dragon skin. Zhuochanglu, who was about to lock the door and go home, suddenly turned around and strolled to the blacksmith's door. The clanking of iron inside suddenly stopped. Wu Tiejiang's bronze face stuck out. What's the matter? Nothing. You look tired, so I wanted to ask if you'd like to go home with me for dinner? Zhuochanglu was now a little enthusiastic about treating people to dinner. Wu Tiejiang's face suddenly changed. Brother, I have diarrhea today. I won't disturb you. Monthly subscription and recommendation tickets. Chapter 195. Zhuochanglu leaned against the door and didn't go in. He just smiled and said, yesterday I went home and told Yuding about it. She was very happy that you could come. She also said that although the eternal gold refined from the 1,000 fantasy gold is good for hammering, it's too obvious and will attract too much attention. It's not good for the child because it's not hidden enough. As for your hammer, the material is actually enough for little Duo to make a hammering surface, but she was too embarrassed to say it, so she wanted to treat you to a meal to thank you in person. No problem. Wu Taijiang patted his chest and said, there's no need for a meal for such a small matter. Saying that I thank you in person is too much. Brother, you're looking down on me too much. I'll just use that material for my nephew. It's not a big deal. But his heart was bleeding. That was eternal iron that was immune to all damage. Compared to the 1,000 phantasm gold, or even the indestructible gold, this is a top-grade material that is much rarer. How many experts yearn to have a weapon made of eternal iron? I finally managed to find some stock, and you actually want to use it to hammer. With such a big hammer, my stock would at most be enough to handle it. It's really like going back to square one. Well, actually, there's another thing that your sister-in-law wants to tell you. And the chain. It's a hammer that weighs tens of thousands of pounds. Such a thin chain, even if it's made of eternal iron, I'm afraid it's not strong enough, Zhuo Chonglu said. Wu Tiejiang's face turned pale and he said eagerly, Brother Zhuo, eternal iron is strong enough? Stupid. I'm just trying to save some eternal iron for you. Zhuo Chonglu expected better from him and said, why are you so ungrateful? Wu Taijiang said. Then tell me. Indeed, he was a little reluctant. It would be better if he changed the material. Well, I remember that you once got the tendon of a one-horned divine dragon. I remember that Pomelo gave it to you back then, right? He wanted to use a whip, but I remember that I stopped him. So it was kept. It's been in your hands all this time, right? Am I right? Zhuo Chonglu was deep in thought. Wu Taijiang was already dumbfounded, and his entire body stiffened. Zhuo Zhonglu said with a gratified look on his face, well, I'm a man of foresight. I've already thought of this many years ago. You can use the flood dragon's tendon and the eternal iron to make the chain. Look, I've saved you a lot of materials. Wu Taijiang was already dumbstruck. After a long while, he quivered and begged, Brother Zhuo, that's my trump card. What's your trump card? Zhuo Chonglu was surprised. When did Pomelo say he was going to give it to you? At that time I kept it. It was originally mine, okay? His expression immediately turned ugly. You want to embezzle my things? Wu Taijiang had the urge to commit suicide on the spot to atone for his sins. How did it become yours? It's been in my ring for so many years, and I've never been willing to use it. How did it suddenly become yours? However, I wouldn't dare. That's right, Zhuo Chonglu said. That dragon tendon is dozens of feet long. After you've made 2 hammers, there will still be 4 or 5 meters left. Brother Zhuo. Wu Taijiang bowed and said with tears in his eyes, your nephew said that the chain only needs to be 10 meters long. That dragon tendon is 700 feet long, 210 meters long. If you take away 20 meters, there should be 190 meters left. Why do I only have 4 or 5 meters left? Zhuo Chonglu said angrily, Wu Taijiang, you really want to embezzle? My son clearly said that dozens of meters were enough. Then he sighed. You can make a mechanism in the middle. You can swing it 10 meters or 20 meters or 30 meters. Isn't that enough? Wu Tiejiang's heart ached. How many meters do I need? 50 meters each. A total of 100 meters. I'll leave you 110 meters. That should be enough, right? Zhuo Chonglu said angrily. I knew that craftsmen like you usually like to keep good materials from customers. I didn't expect you, Wu Taijiang, to be such a person. Fine, I'll leave you half. Wu Taijiang hung his head dejectedly. Okay. If your nephew wants to use it in the future, he'll come to you for it. Okay. Wu Taijiang made up his mind. After I finish this job, I'll immediately go far away. I'll make sure your family can't find me for the rest of their lives. You want the rest? Dream on. Is there anything else? Wu Tiejiang's face was ugly. Yes. There's more? Wu Tiejiang's eyes bulged. Zhuo Chonglu looked embarrassed. He said, look at your niece's sword. We're only talking about making a sword, but a sword needs a scabbard. Otherwise it won't be beautiful. Besides, a girl carrying a lightsaber doesn't look good, does she? Your sister-in-law remembers that you seem to have obtained the dark vermilion bird's fur. Dark vermilion bird? That was a mythical beast in the legends. It was only one level lower than the legendary phoenix. Because of this, the dark vermilion bird had another name, Ice Phoenix. The scabbard made of ice phoenix feathers was not just a matter of beauty. As long as it was worn, it could absorb the power of the ice attribute between heaven and earth at any time, and instill it into the body of the owner. Even if it couldn't hold it, it would wash the meridians over and over again to strengthen the meridians. This was undoubtedly a supreme treasure that all ice attribute warriors dreamed of. Countless people only wanted to get an ice phoenix feather, and would wake up laughing in their dreams. But here, they wanted to make a scabbard. Wu Tianjiang's face twitched. His heart ached to the extreme, and his face changed constantly. Why don't we talk after dinner? Let your sister-in-law talk to you personally? Zhuo Changlu said. No problem. Wu Taijiang immediately patted his chest. It's just a scabbard. It won't be used much. I'll make it for my niece. He had already taken out the flood dragon tendons, so he didn't lack this little bit. Anyway, it was a foregone conclusion that he would bleed profusely, so he might as well be straightforward. Brother, you're too kind. Zhuo Changlu was a little regretful. It's a pity that you're too shy. You said that it wouldn't take much effort to have a meal at home. Wu Taijiang laughed bitterly. He didn't dare to open his mouth, for fear that he would spit out his gallbladder if he did. Little Bear Nan went to have a meal, and now he was so scared that he ran to the UMNO alliance to stir up trouble. How would I dare to go? I have a small family, a pauper and small arms and legs. If I really went to eat this meal, I'm afraid. As he thought about it, he shuddered a few times. I can't stay here for long. I won't sleep or cultivate at night. I'll do my best to work. As long as I finish forging these two little guys' weapons, I'll leave immediately. I won't stay for even a quarter of an hour. Hey, your sister-in-law said. Zhuo Changlu said. My sister-in-law. Wu Tianjiang's face had turned pale. He stuttered, brother, my sister-in-law. What else did she say? Your sister-in-law said that the scabbard shouldn't be made too gorgeous. It's not good to be recognized at a glance, right? It'll be robbed. Your niece's cultivation is too weak. Zhuo Zhanglu sighed and said, your sister-in-law is really worried about her son and daughter. She spoils them too much. Sometimes I can't stand it. I can't stand it even more. Wu Taijiang was cursing in his heart, but he was relieved on the surface. As long as they didn't take anything out, everything was fine. He patted his chest again and said boldly, brother, go back and tell sister-in-law to relax. I'll take full responsibility for this matter. I've worked for so many years, how can I not think of this? That's good, that's good. Zhuo Changlu said. Then I'll go back and tell sister-in-law that you've agreed to apply a layer of dark magic silver. Thank you, brother. This will solve a big problem. Dark magic silver? Wu Taijiang had difficulty breathing. When did I agree? What did you say? Alas, I'm getting old, and my hearing isn't as good as it used to be. It must be because I'm tired. Perhaps I'll have to ask my sister-in-law to help me look after the store. Let me tell you, my sister-in-law is better at doing business than me. Zhuo Zhanglu smiled helplessly. Don't. Wu Tianjiang's voice changed. Brother, you're too modest. You're so energetic. How can you be tired? We men can't shoulder everything just because we're tired. We can't let women do it. Wu Taijiang said seriously, it's just a little bit of dark magic silver. It's not that you didn't hear it clearly, it's that I didn't say it clearly. It's my fault. You must tell sister-in-law not to worry. Don't worry. That's good, that's good. Zhuo Changlu nodded and said embarrassedly, isn't it a little too troublesome? It's too much to ask for. No, it's not troublesome at all. Of course. Wu Taijiang said honestly, brother, it's not early anymore. Look, I'll go home now. Zhuo Changlu said helplessly, I wanted to ask you out for a drink, but you refused. Sai, it's been hard on you. Look, I brought you a bottle of erguotu. I remember that you like to drink it. It's century-old Niur. Look at this bottle, it's full of royal style. Zhuo Changlu took out a bottle of wine and handed it over. Brother, don't be shy. Take it and drink to your heart's content. I have more here after you've finished. Such good wine. Wu Tiezhong's bronze face was trembling. He forced himself to be surprised. How can I accept this? It's okay. We're brothers. Drink as much as you want. I don't dare to promise you anything else, but I have enough good wine. Zhuo Chonglu laughed. He thought for a while and left after confirming that there was nothing left. Before he left, he patted Wu Tiezhong's shoulder affectionately. Brother, you've worked hard. Wu Tiezhong entered the blacksmith shop. He sighed and put the erguotu on the table. He looked at it carefully, unscrewed it and smelled it. He couldn't help but go crazy. Oh my God. It's really an ordinary erguotu. What a loss. If anyone knew that I personally went out to forge, paid the dark devil silver, flood dragon tendons, ice phoenix wings and eternal iron, in exchange for a bottle of 30 yuan erguotu, I reckon those people would go crazy. Chapter 196. Slap. With a slap, he cut off the mouth of the bottle and muttered, no matter what, this is still a wine from 1 meter higher sky. Just this point alone is enough to comfort me for the rest of my life. I can't waste it. He looked up and the bottle of wine started to gurgle. What kind of wine is this? It's so fucking disgusting. Wu Tiezhong wiped his mouth and muttered to himself after finishing a bottle of wine in one go. Forget it, I have to hurry up and work. These two swords are about to take shape. Zhuo Duo and the others returned to second high like a whirlwind. Qin Fengyang was already waiting at the school gate. What's the hurry? It's a big matter. We're at our wits' end. We can only rely on you, Teacher Qin. Zhuo Duo pulled Qin Fengyang and told him everything. I can only ask you to tear down Long Yuxing's old house tonight, the kind that doesn't leave anything behind. Not only do you have to tear down everything on the ground, even the basement can't be spared. Qin Fengyang's eyes widened. Zhuo Duo, am I your teacher or your hired thug? Can't you find someone else to do this dirty and tiring work? As a form teacher, he was going to tear down a student's house? Qin Fengyang felt that he might be the first form teacher in history. Not only was it unprecedented, but it would also be the end of the line. He didn't know whether to call him a legendary form teacher or a weirdo. Teacher Qin, you have to understand that you're not tearing down a house. You're saving a life. Zhuo Duo advised with a sincere face. With a thud, Long Yuxing knelt down. Teacher Qin, please help me. Please go and tear down my house. Sigh. Qin Fengyang was speechless. Child, you're begging me to tear down your house and even kneeling in front of me. This is too strange, isn't it? You really saw through it? You're not joking. Qin Fengyang frowned and looked serious. Zhuo Duo, you can't joke about this. Teacher Qin, just tell me if you believe in my physiognomy. Zhuo Duo looked hurt. Please believe in your students. In the future, if you really become famous, I reckon that with a student like you, the name Qin Fengyang will definitely go down in history. Qin Fengyang sighed. I can already imagine what the history books will say about me. What about you? Have students all over the world the best and only one? Zhuo Duo's interest was aroused. Best and only one person? He was indeed the only one. The history books must have recorded it like this. Back then, Zhuo Duo, a heretical demon whose name shook the world, was known for cheating, stealing food, drinking, whoring, gambling, smoking, and committing all kinds of crimes. His first teacher was said to be Qin Fengyang. Qin Fengyang observed a moment of silence for his foreseeable future, and shook his head with a sigh. Zhuo Duo was dumbfounded. Puhahaha, the soul person, the soul person. Long Yuxing and Wan Lixio laughed out loud. After receiving Qin Fengyang's promise, Zhuo Duo could finally go home and have dinner in peace. However, Teacher Qin actually looked down on me and slandered my clean and righteous name. This is simply unbearable. Zhuo Duo was furious. It was probably because of this grievance that she ate an extra bucket of rice in the evening, and was ridiculed by Mother Zhua again. During his cultivation at night, Zhuo Duo suppressed his innate qi several times. Well, it had only been one day and he had already suppressed it more than 10 times. How many times did he have to suppress it before it would stop? Zhuo Duo was also quite melancholy about this. Teacher Qin only said that the more times he suppressed it, the better. However, he didn't say how many times he had to suppress it. Zhou Xiaoduo didn't know that Qin Fengyang didn't expect this at all. For an ordinary person, it was already quite rare to be able to suppress it 3 to 5 times before breaking through to the innate realm. Those who could suppress it 8 to 10 times could be considered as geniuses with a bright future in the whole continent. When these people suppressed their breakthrough, they didn't have to suppress it several times a day. After all, suppressing a breakthrough was equivalent to temporarily cutting off the road ahead. They had to reaccumulate spiritual energy, absorb it, cultivate, and consume it. No matter what, it would only happen once every 10 days or half a month, right? At the very least, in the most ideal situation, it would happen once a week. Who would have thought that a freak like Zhou Xiaoduo would be able to suppress the opportunity to break through more than 10 times in a single day? If Qin Fengyang knew about this, he would probably tell Zhou Xiaoduo that it was time for him to break through and stop causing trouble. However, Qin Fengyang didn't know at all. How could such a terrifying thing happen? What he could think of, he would ask this kid if he felt like breaking through again after a week. Then, he would analyze the specific situation. This was a more normal situation. 10 times a day. Not to mention 10 times a day, even if it was 10 times a week, it would still be shocking. It was that very night. In the Chenyu building. 4 figures appeared here as if they had appeared out of thin air. Each of them was wearing a wide robe with big sleeves and had an immortal aura. 4 middle-aged men flew in through the window without asking. Junior sister. The 2 men in the lead smiled and greeted her. Hello, senior sister. The other 2 saluted respectfully. Eldest senior brother, second senior brother, 7th junior brother, 5th junior brother. You are all here. Mu Yinyan was pleasantly surprised when she saw them. She only felt that the burden on her shoulders had been lifted a lot. You all came together? That's really great. Senior sister Mu, you greeted eldest senior brother and second senior brother first. That's fine, but when you greeted us, why is 7th junior brother in front of me? 5th junior brother? 5th junior brother was a thin middle-aged man. At this moment he looked dissatisfied. Do you have a problem with me? 5th monkey. Mu Yinyan laughed and scolded. You really don't have a single moment of honesty. If you continue to speak nonsense, see if I don't beat you up. 7th junior brother chuckled. What kind of relationship do I have with senior sister Mu? 5th senior brother, you are far too lacking. Eldest senior brother had a square face with 3 strands of black beard. Smiling, he said, Old 5th, old 7th, don't cause trouble. If your senior sister didn't have a big matter, how could she have called us all here? Second senior brother looked much more serious. His face was almost devoid of flesh, and he even looked a little wooden. Clearly, he was normally a very serious person. Junior sister Mu, what exactly is the matter? Mu Yinyan smiled and said, Let me first hold a welcoming dinner for senior and junior brothers. Let's go, I have already booked a restaurant. I will let you all have a taste of this world. The 4 disciples looked at each other, their hearts filled with suspicion. Junior sister Mu immediately spoke of welcoming them, and did not mention anything important. Clearly, she had some misgivings. Could it be that in this place they could not even speak? The door opened. Meng Chenyu bounced in. Master, are you going out? Let me send you out. Seeing that there were so many people in the room, she immediately let out a cry of surprise, saying, These. Mu Yinyan smiled. Then her face sank and scolded with a smile. Naughty. These are your martial uncles and martial uncles. This is eldest martial uncle. This is second martial uncle. This is 5th martial uncle, and this is 7th martial uncle. Quickly greet them. Meng Chenyu was given a fright and quickly saluted them one by one. This is the female disciple you accepted in Phoenix City? Sure enough, she is very clever. This is our first meeting. Eldest senior brother laughed and reached into his pocket. Everyone eat first. If there is anything we can talk after eating. Mu Yinyan smiled and said, Chenyu, you go practice first. I have not seen your martial uncles and martial uncles for a long time, so we need to properly chat. Don't be naughty. There will be a greeting gift for you. When your senior sister Nian arrives tomorrow, you too can ask your martial uncles for it. Otherwise, your martial uncles and martial uncles will be embarrassed tomorrow. I will tell you, little girl, your martial uncles and martial uncles all have plenty of good things. Let's see how much you two can pull out tomorrow. Eldest senior brother helplessly smiled and said, "Looking at this situation, I fear that a large amount of blood will be shed tomorrow." Meng Chanyu leapt up and said, "I will immediately tell my senior sister Nian. Goodbye master, goodbye martial uncles. Goodbye martial uncles." Before she finished speaking, she had already rushed out. Clearly, she was going to make a call to Zhuoxiaonian. Second senior brother's thin face revealed a trace of doubt. Intentionally or otherwise, he glanced at Mu Yanyan and said, "Junior sister, have you prepared some good wine to entertain us?" "Just follow me," Yizichen said. Mu Yanyan led the way, her face full of joy. Just as they were walking, a ding-dong sound suddenly rang out. A message from Zhuoxiaonian had arrived. Mu Yanyan took out her handphone and looked. "Master, I have prepared a new handphone for you. Do you like it?" Seeing such an ordinary message, Mu Yanyan's expression changed. She put away her phone and furrowed her brows. Along the way to the hotel, Mu Yanyan asked her senior and junior brothers to order, and then said, "I have to make a call. I will be back soon." "Junior sister, you are so busy." Eldest senior brother smiled and said, Go, don't tell me. You are in love?" Mu Yanyan blushed and said, "Senior brother, you are really shameless." She hurried out. High in the sky, Mu Yanyan dialed a new number on her new handphone. On the other side, Zhuoxiaonian also had a new number on her new handphone, so she picked it up. "What's the matter?" Mu Yanyan asked. Zhuoxiaonian's voice sounded very hurried. "Master, just now Xiao Duo read my fortune. He said that my luck has changed again. There is a white tiger coming to my soul. It should be in the southeast. And you are the first to bear the brunt of this disaster, which is a big variable. He himself doesn't know the reason, so he asked me to remind you to be careful." Mu Yanyan's delicate body shook when she heard this, and she almost fell from the clouds. At this moment, she really felt that her mind was blank, and it was hard for her to control herself. After a long time she said, "I know, I will be careful." Then she hung up the phone. Chapter 197. Mu Yanyan stayed in the clouds high in the sky for more than 10 minutes. Suddenly he hid his figure in the thicker clouds and mist. He covered his face with his hands and slowly squatted down. At this moment, the great grandmaster who had reached the peak of nascent soul, and was half a step into the cloud transformation realm, looked like a pitiful and helpless little girl. Because of the arrival of her senior and junior brothers, the joy suddenly turned into infinite fear. The white tiger evil spirit was coming from the southeast. After a long time, Mu Yanyan stood up and turned to look in the southeast direction. In the southeast direction, Kunlun Secret Land, Kunlun Taoist Mountain, Kunlun Taoist Sect. Mu Yanyan's face was as pale as paper. Suddenly, she looked up at the sky and slowly exhaled. A sigh resounded through the sky. This night, Mu Yanyan showed unprecedented joy and frequently raised her cup to invite the senior and junior brothers who she had not seen for many years. It seemed that she had endless things to say. However, about Zhuoxiaonian's Xiaoduo Feng Shui Phoenix Vein Soul, she did not mention a single word. "Junior sister, didn't you say that one of your disciples is about to break through, and during this period of time, you hoped that we would come here to help protect her?" Eldest senior brother's square face flashed a trace of doubt. "Tell us about the situation. If it is not a serious situation, why do you need so many of us to protect her? Also, junior sister, you value this disciple very much." Mu Yanyan smiled. "This child's aptitude is indeed excellent, and she is the successor I have chosen." She deliberated for a moment in her heart and slowly said, "But this time, her breakthrough can't be taken lightly. Why? I now suspect that my successor is born with a phoenix body. And in Phoenix City, there have always been rumors about the phoenix vein. What's more coincidental is that the scheduled time of her breakthrough is almost the same as the legendary day of the phoenix vein soul cleansing." Mu Yanyan's face was heavy, and her voice was heavy. "And as far as I know, the 3 sects of the Umno Alliance have already come to Phoenix City. Well, we have already fought many times. In other words, a lot of Umno Alliance elites have gathered in this small town. I suspect that they are here for the Phoenix Pulse Soul." Mu Yanyan looked worried. "If I'm alone, I'm not sure at all." Hearing this, the faces of the 4 senior and junior brothers suddenly became heavy. "There's actually such a thing." "Yes." Mu Yanyan began to explain the situation here in detail. She was neither too optimistic nor too exaggerated. In short, she told him everything that had happened during this period of time without leaving out any details. However, the only thing she didn't mention was the feng shui situation a few days earlier, and Zhuoxiao's physiognomy supernatural power. Even He Yuanyue only mentioned a few words and didn't say anything else. The faces of eldest senior brother and the other three became more and more solemn, gradually becoming as gloomy as water. If there really is such a thing, then the UMNO alliance will definitely not allow someone like spiritual sense to successfully break through, let alone the matter of the Phoenix Pulse spirit. Eldest senior brother sighed softly. I'm afraid this will be a tough battle. Yes, definitely a tough battle. Spiritual sense's breakthrough this time is already like a bow on the string. It has to be released, but there's no way to counter it. And we naturally can't act rashly and can only passively defend. Mu Yanyan showed a mentally and physically exhausted expression. If you didn't come to help, I really don't know what to do this time. Junior sister, don't worry. Since we're here, we definitely won't let the UMNO alliance succeed. Eldest senior brother said in a low voice, moreover Phoenix City is after all a small border city, a small place. Even if the UMNO alliance comes there won't be too many people, and their overall strength won't be too strong. As long as the city's strength cooperates, there's still a high chance of protecting a little girl to successfully break through. I hope so. Mu Yanyan raised her cup. Today is to wash the dust of senior brother and junior brother. I toast to senior brother and junior brother. Yanyan thanks you here. It was also on this night. Ning Suifeng and Meng Tianyue met again in the CEO's office on the top floor of the Meng Group's headquarters. This time Meng Tianyue and Ning Suifeng's faces were heavy, no longer as calm and elegant as before. And in front of them, someone was unfolding the map of Phoenix City. The map in front of them was a projection of the huge Phoenix City, not missing a single detail. Sometimes it was near and far and sometimes it was near and far. Meng Chuntian stood in front of the projection, looking at it in a trance. Behind him there were more than 10 people. Among them, the 4 people who had stopped Zhuoxiao Duo the other day were among them. There were more than a dozen people, and each of them had an ancient face and a faint aura of Tao. Most of them were wearing long robes, and a few of them were holding compasses, rulers and other things in their hands. Everyone was carefully watching the projection. Everyone please take a look. Meng Chentian said slowly, probably in one night, the mountains on both sides have been secretly moved by someone. The original Wenshui East, with a ribbon around the waist, has now become the Wenshui West. Everyone please take a look. Is there any explanation behind this? Meng Chentian's handsome face was still calm and elegant, calm and unhurried. More than 10 Qi watchers, each of them put in a serious attitude. Some of them even began to use their hands to draw in the void and began to calculate. Some of them drew lines in the void, their lips moving as they muttered. Meng Tianyue said, everyone, please pay more attention because this Wenshui is related to the Feng Shui lake of our Ning and Ming families. If the water suddenly flows in the opposite direction, will it break the original intention of the Feng Shui? More than a dozen Feng Shui masters stared at the projection. After a long time, someone finally shook his head with a puzzled expression and said, the flow of water is against the trend and changed direction. According to Feng Shui common sense, it is indeed an ominous sign. However, after repeated observation, there is no difference from before. Also, there is no sign of Feng Shui related to this. As soon as this person spoke, the others followed suit. Indeed, I do not feel any influence. The two sides are originally balanced. Going east and going west, the result is the same. There is no difference. That's right, I also do not feel any mysterious changes in the inside. It doesn't matter, da. Everyone spoke in unison and said that it did not matter. Meng Chenqian's face finally turned gloomy and said, everyone, please take a good look again. Just last night, I felt unusually uncomfortable. And the source of this discomfort, I feel that there is a change in the two mountains. It is also because of this that I can quickly detect that the water flow has changed. The group of Qi watchers looked at each other and did not speak for a long time. After a while, Brother Feng smiled and said, young Master Meng, do not worry. Young Master Meng, you feel that there is something strange. It is probably difficult for us to see through the projection. After all, the projection is just a projection. There is no luck or momentum to speak of. We still need to do a detailed investigation to make a conclusion. He paused and said, however, in fact, young Master Meng's discomfort may not necessarily be related to the water flow. No matter who it is inevitable that they will feel uncomfortable when they wake up and find that the environment they are used to has changed. Meng Qiantan thought and said, is it? Could it be that they put in so much effort just to do something useless? This question made the dozens of Qi watchers look at each other again. They did not know whether to agree or disagree. Yes, to put in so much effort to form such a big change, at least a few nascent soul powerhouses had to be mobilized to change the mountains and rivers, and change the flow to the reverse. Only then could such a change be made in one night. And such a change was actually useless. It really couldn't be justified. Ning Suifeng said, let's go over and do a detailed investigation first. Meng Tunyue frowned and said, Qiantan, go on behalf of me. Yes, father. Meng Qiantian agreed and went out with a few Qi watchers and Ning Suifeng. Before Ning Suifeng went out, he suddenly thought of something and stopped at the door. He turned his head and said, Brother Meng, don't you want to go and see for yourself? Meng Tunyue smiled and said, it is enough to have you go. I'm just taking a break. Besides, ever since I was robbed in the sky last time, I have never gone up to the sky. Ning Suifeng shook his head and laughed. He jumped and left. Several invisible and traceless auras followed him like a few gusts of cool breeze. For a moment, more than 20 people stood in the sky and looked down. Meng Qiantian felt that this place was too close to the headquarters of the Meng's group, so he retreated a bit and moved up another 100 feet. More than a dozen Qi watchers steadied themselves and started to move at the same time. After a long time, Brother Feng was the first to speak. It was obvious that he had the highest status among these people. It is really strange, but there is no effect. Brother Feng pointed to the front and said, look, the building of the Meng's group is located on the line of the earth veins. It is connected to the heavens above and the earth veins below. Fortune comes from all directions and wind blows from all directions. Can be said to be the best feng shui layout. Whether it is gathering wealth, power, or strength, it is easy and successful. It is also where the ancestral tomb of the Ning family is located, forming a yin and a yang. They complement each other. One high and one low, one yin and one yang. It is precisely the gathering of all the fortune of the local area here. As for the mountains in the distance, whether it changes or not, I feel that it has nothing to do with the feng shui layout here. Brother Feng pointed out with an imposing manner, look, the surroundings of Phoenix City is actually a huge feng shui formation. It has already formed its own system. Whether it is to the east or the west, there is a lot of flowing water. It is endless. As for the Wuxia River, whether it is to the east or the west, it is still a cycle formed by this feng shui formation. The power of feng shui in the entire Phoenix City area has not decreased at all. The rest of the Qi watchers said in unison and nodded their heads. Brother Feng is right. That's what we think too. Chapter 198. Meng Qiantian's face darkened as he looked at them one by one. Slowly he asked, is there really no effect? No change at all? Yes. Brother Feng said seriously, young Master Meng, I can guarantee it with my career. A few of the more experienced ones looked around and said, at least on the surface, there really isn't any effect. Brother Feng's heart skipped a beat. He said, yes, on the surface there is no harm. On a deeper level, the Meng conglomerates and the Ning family's fortunes could be said to be the two central points of the entire Phoenix City. No matter where the luck comes from, it will be attracted to these two families. As long as there is no change in the earth vein, the feng shui of the two families will be as stable as a rock. Then he nodded and said, young Master Meng, the one who looked at the feng shui of your two families back then was a great master. The other Qi diviners did not have any doubts about this. They said, yes, the one who set up the feng shui for you is a great master of feng shui. There is no doubt about this. In the entire Central Plains, there are not many people who can set up such an excellent and almost indestructible feng shui. That's right. With the heaven and earth as the layout, the mountains and rivers as the foundation, and the earth as the foundation, yin and yang as the foundation. It's amazing, really amazing. We have always thought highly of ourselves, but after seeing this layout today, We know that there is always someone better than us. We are far inferior. Meng Qintian's eyes relaxed a little, but for some reason, he still felt that his heart was heavy, and his heart was not at ease. Ning Suifeng, on the other hand, was relieved. He stroked his beard and smiled. Meng Qintian said, "If we want to break our feng shui, how do we do it? This feng shui has reached perfection. It is not impossible to break this feng shui, but it is too difficult." A qi diviner who looked to be in his 50s said, "There is a double problem, one internal and one external. Therefore, in my opinion, the backflow of the One River is an attempt to break your feng shui array. It is also the external solution that I mentioned. Unfortunately, it is futile and difficult to do." Meng Qintian hurriedly asked, "Master, please enlighten us. What is the key and how to prevent it?" The qi diviner thought for a while and said, "The most direct way is to eliminate all the mountains on either side. Then the natural feng shui, Phoenix City, will be broken, and all the related luck will flow out. Since your families are in Phoenix City, there is no exception. But no one dares to do this method. This was because it involved the fate of millions of people. No matter who did it, they would definitely suffer the most extreme backlash. Absolutely no one can bear the extreme feng shui of the feng shui of feng shui's feng shui, of the generations. Therefore, the person who broke the situation was at best just playing a borderline ball and changing the flow of the water. It is impossible to completely destroy the situation. Perhaps this is the fundamental reason why the feng shui situation was not affected at all." Meng Qintian nodded slowly. He looked into the distance and finally calmed down. He said, "Master, you mentioned the internal and external solution. Even if the external solution cannot be broken, what if it is broken from the inside? It is also impossible to break from the inside. The way to break from the inside is to demolish the entire Ming's headquarters and the Ning family's ancestral tombs, and do both at the same time. But this method is even more difficult than breaking from the outside. Not only will you not allow it, most of the people in Phoenix City will not allow it. Even if the king of the Central Plains comes to demolish it personally, he will not be able to do it. I believe young Master Meng understands this better than anyone." The qi diviner smiled bitterly and said, "So this is a feng shui array that no one can break. No matter if it is from the inside or the outside, no one can break it." Meng Qintian murmured, "A feng shui array that no one can break." He finally heaved a sigh of relief and said, "Thank you for your guidance. Everyone, if you are sure there are no other problems, let's go to the headquarters for tea. There will be some gifts for you later. Please, don't mind." "Young Master Meng, you are too polite." Everyone smiled and thanked him. Everyone was beaming. Looking at the guards leading the qi diviners away, Meng Qintian pulled Ning Suifeng and said, "Uncle Ning? Yes. I still feel a little uneasy. Since someone did such a big thing, why did he end up with a useless outcome? If it were you or me, we would not be satisfied either, right? So I suspect that there is something fishy about this. If we can't figure it out, I will not be at ease. You see," Meng Qintian said in a low voice, "should we ask Blind Hong to come out and take a look?" Ning Suifeng frowned and thought for a while. He said softly, "Qintian, aren't you worrying too much?" Meng Qintian took a breath and said, "After all, this concerns the foundation of both our families. It is hard to be at ease." Ning Suifeng smiled and said, "Since the feng shui arrays of both our families are not destroyed, it is a great thing. What else is there to be worried about?" Meng Qintian looked at Ning Suifeng in shock. He was speechless in his heart. He should not have discussed with him. He was not even considering the same thing. He smiled and said, "Since Uncle Ning said so, I am relieved." Ning Suifeng laughed and left. He turned around, still smiling, but his eyes were cold. He thought to himself, want to swallow it all in one go? The appetite of the Meng family is too big. Then he thought, Meng Qintian is right. After spending so much effort, it is useless. If it were anyone else, they would not be satisfied. If it were me, I would be even more unwilling. There must be something fishy about this. It seems that I have to secretly find Blind Hong and take a look at the ancestral grave. But who is the one in charge of the Meng family group? Why do I feel that Meng Qintian's power is not inferior to Meng Tianyue's? Ning Suifeng laughed and entered the headquarters of the Meng family group. Brother Meng, we are overthinking this time. It is not a big deal. The feng shui of both our families is impregnable and safe. It is very good. Meng Tianyue was leisurely drinking by himself. He turned his head and said, Brother Ning, you have worked hard. Almost at the same time, another group of people rushed into the sky. They looked at the aura around Phoenix City. Those Qi Watchers in Phoenix City have been invited by the Meng family and the Ning family. It seems that these two families are still very concerned about their own fate. Yes, Elder Gu, come and take a look at the influence of the Wen Shui flowing west. Or rather, is there any effect on the Phoenix veins? Almost all the people who came later had their faces covered by the clouds. Only this Elder Gu showed his face clearly because he wanted to observe the situation. His hair was white, but he was hale and hearty. At this moment he was seriously looking at the situation of the mountains and rivers below. His eyes were serious. The change of east and west and the Wen Shui flowing in reverse should have a great impact on the inherent feng shui. But why does it look like there is no effect on the surface? It is really strange. Yes, in the south, there is a sudden fire. The fire is very fierce and it is injecting energy into the phoenix veins. As the saying goes, the phoenix is reborn from the fire. But why is there a fire in the south? That is the tale of the phoenix. Speaking of this, the faces of the people who were hidden in the clouds and mist turned ugly. Speaking of this fire, it was really too unexpected. It unexpectedly reached home. Who would have thought that the death of a few students during the trial would trigger a chain reaction and eventually cause such a big matter? It even made use of the blacklist and put the bounty on the top, causing thousands of people to kill them. Originally at this stage it was already very strange. It could not be done without money. But in the end, that Shen Yushu really did not know what was wrong with his brain. He set a big fire without any warning and burned down the Phoenix Tail Mountain. And this was also the root cause of the current drastic change. Ignorance is really terrible. Setting a fire. What use was it for a nascent soul stage expert? And for this accident, the people of the UMNO Alliance only felt that they were fucked up. After all the UMNO Alliance experts in Phoenix City confirmed this information, almost collectively they exploded. They were about to find trouble with Shen Yushu to vent their anger, but they were stunned to see that Shen Yushu had sent his own family's head to the Meng family, and it was cut off. Immediately after, the whole family was uprooted. The whole family was exterminated. Not even a chicken or dog was spared. Not even an inch of grass was left. The actions of the Meng family and the Ning family were so sharp and fast. They were so ruthless and vicious that it was even more extreme than the actions of the UMNO Alliance. This was simply fucking a complete mess. They could not even find a target to vent their anger. This matter, cough cough, is really purely a coincidence. It is a pure natural accident. It is not targeted. In the clouds, a voice said with some speechlessness, "Fortunately, our previous arrangements were thorough. As far as the current situation is concerned, the impact on the Phoenix vein is not very big. The established plan for the Phoenix Pulse Spirit can still be carried out according to the original rhythm." Old Gu said lightly, "But because of the impact of this fire, the Phoenix vein has increased to a certain extent. So, originally it was 100% impossible to fly. Now it has become a slight hope to fly. Everyone must not be the slightest bit careless about this." Everyone was speechless. They did not know how many years of arrangements they had made. If it was destroyed by this bastard's fire and buried in a complete accident, it would be really fucked up. They would be so aggrieved that they would vomit blood and die. However, that little hope of taking off is only a little. The reversal of the two mountains did not cause any major changes in the end. It has nothing to do with the grand plan. However, in the following days we need to keep a close eye on them and see if they have any other tricks up their sleeves. Tricks? What do you mean? Old Go looked at the mountains and rivers in front of him and said, "In addition to the general trend of heaven and earth, Qi Watchers will also use some props to arrange the feng shui. If we are not careful, the other party may still turn the tables. So we must not take it lightly. After all, most of these props are very small objects. They are not easy to be discovered." Old Ji's words made everyone fall into deep thought. "We must ask for monthly votes. Brothers, at the end of the month give us some." Chapter 199. Then Elder Gu, can you find these items? I can't. Elder Gu shook his head honestly. I'm ashamed. I'm not at that level yet. Then who can? Someone asked. If it's just us, the scope is too big. Secondly, we're not experts in this field. We don't even know what the target is. It's very possible that the item is right in front of us, but we'll still miss it. Elder Gu thought for a while and said, as far as I know, there are only 3 people in this world who can find it. The first is General Dongfang of the Sun Moon Pass. The second is Master Dao Jin of the capital city. The third is the one from the Umno Alliance. The others all smiled bitterly. It was impossible for these 3 people to come. Elder Gu sighed and said, it's a pity that Blind Hong is blind. If his eyes were still intact, he would be able to find it. But he would definitely lose his life. Blind Hong? Someone repeated softly, deep in thought. That night, around 3 o'clock in the morning, a sword light soared into the sky, drawing a mysterious trajectory in the air as it sped toward the Long Manor. It was the quietest moment of the night, so no one noticed this abnormality. And behind this sword light, there was a person shrouded in black. Only a pair of eyes could be seen outside, shining brightly. It's here. In a split second, the sword light shone brilliantly and fell from the sky like a waterfall. Boom boom. The sword light drilled into the ground and then rose from the other side. A huge amount of true yuan exploded. Many of the houses in the Long family's manor, which was only a few dozen mu in size, were sent flying 7 to 8 meters into the air before crashing down with a loud boom. Instantly, they were torn apart. The originally sturdy buildings were turned into ruins in an instant. Who's there? Bastard! Angry shouts were mixed with a series of screams. Dozens of lights soared into the sky from the ruins of the Long Manor. Everyone's face was filled with anger. The black-clothed man in the air snorted. His long sword did not stop and continued to swing. More than 100 sword lights fell in a fan shape and forcefully embedded into the ruins. The few remaining intact houses were also destroyed. With another loud boom, the only remaining basement collapsed, and the entire Long family's manor collapsed. Exclamations, curses, and screams filled the air. In the air, a dozen or so Long family members had already surrounded the black-clothed man and shouted angrily, "Which scoundrel is this? You dare to make an enemy out of my Long family?" The man in black in the air was startled for a moment. His voice was very strange as he called out, "What? Long family? How could it be the Long family?" A vigilant old man from the Long family was so angry that he almost vomited blood. "What do you mean by that? If not for the fact that the other party was a top-notch expert, even if the entire Long clan were to gather all of their manpower and surround him, they would still not be able to kill him." The black-clothed man in the air was clearly astonished. He asked in astonishment, "Is this really the Long family? If it's not the Long family, then where is it?" The old man was furious. "Who exactly are you?" The black-clothed man was stunned for a moment before he suddenly said apologetically, "Then I'm really sorry, I found the wrong place." His voice was hoarse and unpleasant to the ears. It was obvious that he had been disguised. However, this sentence made all of the Long family members so angry that their lungs were swollen. Damn it! Found the wrong place? Found the wrong place to seek revenge? What kind of statement was this? The black-clothed man said, "I'm really sorry. I didn't expect that. I actually found the wrong target. Forget it. Consider it as me forming good karma with the Long family." After saying that, he cupped his hands and turned into a sword light. He soared into the sky and disappeared into the clouds at an extremely fast speed. The Long family's old man was so angry that he covered his chest and coughed. The other dozen or so Long family members all stomped their feet and cursed at the sky. They were really crazy with anger. The whole family was sleeping peacefully. Suddenly, an unexpected disaster came out of nowhere. The entire courtyard of the old house was razed to the ground in an instant. The house they lived in was turned into broken bricks. Even the bed, wardrobe, and all the other facilities were crushed into powder by a sword. Even the toilet bowl was broken, and many safes were split into 2. The secret room collapsed and the basement was completely destroyed. In the end, the person who came said one sentence. "Misunderstanding. They found the wrong person. I'm really sorry." "Sorry your head. The most infuriating thing was, consider it as me forming good karma with the Long family. Who the hell wants to form good karma with you? Who the hell are you? Long Yuxing stood in the ruins in his pajamas. He looked at the sky and was excited in his heart. Waha, awesome. He demolished it just like that. Took less than a minute. He's really an almighty. It's too satisfying. What are you all standing there for? Hurry up and treat the injured. Old Master Long roared in the air as soon as he regained consciousness. The whole family immediately got busy. After a round of investigation, they were stunned again. Other than a few unlucky people who were hit by the collapsed house, the rest were not injured at all. After all, they were a martial arts family. Even if they were hit, it was not a big deal. The house. None of them can still be lived in. The people are all fine. Long Yuxing's father felt that this result was inconceivable. This is really fucking dog shit luck. That sword light that seemed to want to destroy the heavens and earth plowed back and forth in his house several times, but not a single person was injured? This is a great fortune and misfortune. The old man immediately instructed, eldest, second, third, you guys quickly organize people to move your family. Fourth, hurry up and contact the hotel. Everyone moves to the hotel. The few of you, put away the things in the treasury and safes. Everyone from your family is not allowed to touch them. Everyone moved to the hotel. The old man's composure was not bad. He did not panic in the face of danger and commanded in an orderly manner. Father then. This black-clothed man, the eldest son of the Long family, Long Yuxing's uncle, asked hesitantly. There's no black-clothed man. The old man glared. With his cultivation, if he wants to destroy our family, it's really just a matter of raising his hand. Do you still want to take revenge? He said that it's a misunderstanding, so it's a misunderstanding. If the strong find trouble with us, then it's our bad luck. If he wants to form a good relationship with us, then it's our luck. You're an adult. Don't you understand this? But we don't even know who that person is. How can we form a good relationship? Fool, if you know who he is, do you think that our family will still be alive? Seeing that the others were about to speak, the old man waved his hand. This matter is settled. No more talking. Hurry up and get to work. Fifth, after you're done, contact the construction team and ask them to come over and rebuild the house. Yes. The old man floated to the ground and came to Long Yuxing's side. He sighed. Sigh, everything has its own way. Didn't Yuxing's classmates say that our family will be in trouble during this period of time? He asked us to move out and hide. Now it seems that he was right. It's just that we were blinded by lard and didn't accept his kindness. Sigh. The old man was very regretful. Tonight something like this happened. It's tantamount to reminding us that in this world, there are some things that we can choose not to believe, but there are some things that we have to believe. Yuxing, your grandson is here. Prepare a generous gift tomorrow and send it to your classmate. You must be sincere and sincere. The old man sighed. By the way, ask him if he's still willing to help our family. If we want to rebuild the house, how to do it better. The disciple of the old principal, He Yuanyue, is indeed extraordinary. The old man sighed. His face was full of admiration, but there was also a hint of disappointment. It seemed that after this incident, the old man had changed from a complete distrust of Master's ability to the point of being a die-hard fan. Long Yuxing opened his mouth. Just as he was about to say no, he thought that it wasn't right and swallowed his words. Sigh. Alright, I'll let that guy take advantage of me this time. Since I'm really in danger, it makes sense to give him a thank you gift. However, the truth of the destruction of the house this time must not be leaked out. If his parents and grandfather knew that the person who destroyed his house was actually someone that he had painstakingly begged, Long Yuxing instantly shuddered. If that was the case, then he would basically bid farewell to this magnificent life. Oh, Buddha said, it must not be said, it must not be said. The night in the old Long's house passed by in a hubbub. Make sure to move everything that can be moved away. The old man of the Long family could be said to be once bitten, twice shy. Choose a hotel. Don't stay in the upper floors. Our family will stay there for a year and a half. We'll come back after the reconstruction is done. The stone in Long Yuxing's heart was finally lifted. After everything is settled, Yuxing, you must make an appointment with your classmate. Our family will treat him to a good meal. Let's get to know each other well and thank him. Long Yuxing repeatedly agreed. The sky was bright. God knows how busy all the high-ranking people in Phoenix City were on this day. This day was destined to be an extraordinary day. Phone calls were made one after another. People from all over the country were looking for the qi-gazing technique. They didn't want the most awesome qi-gazing technique, only the most awesome qi-gazing technique. People from the UMNO Alliance were looking. People from the Meng family were also looking. People from the Ning family were still looking. There were also a few families who somehow got wind of the news and followed the crowd to look for the qi-gazing technique. As a result, Governor Wan Pingyuan, for the first time, told his daughter who was about to go to school, "Xiao, wait a moment. What's the matter?" "Well, your classmate." Wan Pingyuan considered his words carefully. "Daughter, you must maintain a good relationship with him. If it's convenient, you can bring him home for a meal. Dad also has something to ask." Chapter 200. Wan Lixio blushed and hurriedly said, "Dad, what are you talking about? If you want to find Long Yuxing, just tell him directly. Why do you need to consult him? Is he worthy?" I'm not talking about Long Yuxing. I'm talking about that Zhuo Duo, the one known as God's Zhuo Duo. Governor Wan rolled his eyes and said, "Long Yuxing is such a bastard. Why would I want to see him? I get annoyed when I see him." Wan Lixio rolled her eyes and said, "You want to see Zhuo Duo? Why do you want to see him?" "I'm telling you, Dad, this was really a bitch. You little girl." Wan Pingyuan shouted seriously, "They are your classmates and he is your boss. How can you be so rude? You have to be respectful to Master Zhua in the future, do you understand?" Wan Lixio was surprised. "Dad, what's wrong with you? Do you know what you are talking about?" Governor Wan lowered his voice. "Your grandpa Long called. A few days ago, Zhuo Duo told Long Yuxing that the Long family was going to encounter a big disaster, and suggested to move as soon as possible. But the Long family didn't believe him and didn't move. Guess what happened last night?" Wan Lixio understood at once. She held back her laughter and said, "What happened? Last night, the Long family was gone." Governor Wan's eyes showed some fear. He lowered his voice and said, "It seems that there was some misunderstanding. Anyway, they were flattened by a master with a sword. Fortunately, there were no casualties. This matter is really strange." Wan Lixio's expression was exaggerated. "Wow. There was such a thing. Flattened with a sword, are you kidding? How can this be a joke? Look at your expression." Wan Pingyuan lectured his daughter. "Your future husband's family was wiped out and you are so excited? You little girl are really. When you marry him in the future, your temper. I have to ask your mother to teach you a good lesson. What kind of temperament is this?" Wan Pingyuan lectured Wan Lixio for a long time before he waved his hand and let her go to school. "Remember, you must be on good terms with Master Zhua. It will be beneficial." "I know." Wan Lixio's voice came from several hundred meters away. It was too terrifying. Once Dad started to blabber on and on, it was simply even more unbearable than Mom. 8 o'clock in the morning. Director Zhang Zhongbin came out of the office feeling refreshed. He grabbed his phone and dialed a number. "Hello, teacher. Good morning." He Yuanyue's voice came from the receiver. "Big face Zhang, did something happen on your side? Why are you calling me so early?" Zhang Zhongbin giggled and said, "Teacher, let me tell you a piece of good news. I've managed to borrow 2 people from the Dragon Blood Squad. They're both cloud transformation experts." On the other side, Yuanyue's voice suddenly became serious. "You want to? Teacher, now that things have come to this, I don't want to drag this on any longer. I want to move. We can't allow such a nail to be stuck here forever." Zhang Zhongbin's voice became heavy. "Teacher, I want to ask you for help." Yuanyue's voice was a little hesitant. After a moment she said, No problem. I can send you 2 peak nascent soul transformation cultivators. Qin Fengyang's sister Lan. Other people can't be used in a battle of this level. If you force yourself to go, I'm afraid you'll only die. These 2 are more than enough." Zhang Zhongbin said, "Thank you, teacher. Before starting the operation, Zhongbin wants to. I want to trouble teacher to look at the aura so that we can have more confidence." Yuanyue was silent for a moment and said, Let's Wuxiao Duo see it. I don't need to see it. If I see it, there will be too many people paying attention to me from all sides. Wuxiao Duo? Let him see it. Zhang Zhongbin was about to say, can he do it? But He Yuanyue had already hung up the phone. Wuxiao Duo is Wuxiao Duo. Zhang Zhongbin had an almost blind superstition about He Yuanyue. As long as He Yuanyue said it was okay, it must be okay. He happily dialed the number again. Is this Teacher Mu? Hello. I'm Zhang Zhongbin of the Star Shield. Okay. Do you have time later? I want to discuss something with you. Okay. Then I'll wait for you at Star Shield. Teacher Chiao? Do you have time now? I'm Zhang Zhongbin of the Star Shield. Hello. Okay. I'll wait for you at Star Shield. Then he thought for a while and dialed another number. Monkey-san, there's something that you need to help me with today. On the other side, Chief Son of the Martial Arts Bureau frowned. What's the matter? You dare to call me that when you're asking for my help? You're so awesome, big-faced Jiang. What can't you do? I'm not free. I won't help. I still have the video of the last conference. You were really impressive then. I was convinced by you. You chased the old principal out and sat there as steadily as a mountain. You were like the sun in the sky, calm and composed. I suddenly feel like posting it on my WeChat moments. What's the matter? Just say it. We're all old classmates. I won't help others, but for you, Zhang Zhongbin, I'll go through water and tread on fire without hesitation. Brother Jiang, if you have something to say, just say it. Why do you have to do all those useless things? Straightforward. Zhang Zhongbin snapped his fingers. There's an operation tonight. I need a few absolutely reliable experts who can fight. The lowest level is at the nascent soul transformation realm. How many can you find for me? I can find you a gay tyrant. On the other side, Bureau Chief Sun was anxious. Are you kidding me, big-faced Jiang? And the lowest level is at the nascent soul transformation realm? Why don't you say the lowest level is at the nascent soul transformation realm? Where can I find such a person for you? Do you think the nascent soul transformation realm is cabbage? After Zhang Zhongbin finished speaking, he took the microphone away from his ear. After the other side finished speaking, he said slowly, Don't think that I don't know. Your brother came back to visit his family not long ago. He's now in Phoenix City. Your brother, General Sun, is a standard nascent soul transformation realm cultivator. He just came back from the battlefield. Whether it's strength or reliability, he's suitable. Zhang Zhongbin said, Otherwise, do you think I'll call you casually? I'm in charge of Star Shield. If I don't even know this, how can I survive? Bureau Chief Sun said angrily, My brother only has 10 days of vacation this time. On the way back, he lost 2 days. He just got home the day before yesterday. It's already been 5 days. You still want to work hard? Are you still a human? Zhang Zhongbin begged, Brother Monkey, I'm really in trouble. If there's any other way, I won't call you. Isn't your brother my brother? I don't want to trouble him. But the problem is that I really don't know what to do. You're my brother. Are you going to help me or not? On the other side, Sun Fengho hesitated and said, Well, I'll tell my brother later. But I can't guarantee success. Zhang Zhongbin begged again, Brother Monkey, I may die tonight. Bureau Chief Sun scolded. You only know how to take advantage of my sympathy. It's true. Zhang Zhongbin took a deep breath and said seriously, think about it. I've already put aside my face to ask our brother. What kind of trouble would I encounter? This level of battle. Alas. Monkey, I'm going to die soon. Remember to take good care of my mother for me. She's our mother. Bureau Chief Sun finally became serious. Is it really that serious? It's worse than that. Okay. Then I'll go back to my brother now. Bureau Chief Sun sighed and said, Even if I kneel down and kowtow to him, I promise to invite him to you. Okay. Thank you. Zhang Zhongbin put down the phone with a heavy face and then smiled, Wahaha. I know this guy is easily persuaded. Sure enough, he can be persuaded by reason but not cowed by force. Damn. There's another nascent soul expert. Well, where can I find more experts? The governor's mansion is definitely not possible. The city guards. Forget it. I'm worried. If Zhang Zhongbin thought for a long time and finally put down the phone. Forget it, I can't take any more risks. Even if I can't invite anyone, I can make do with my current overall strength. If I blindly look for people and find a spy, I'll be a complete idiot. Zhang Zhongbin frowned and sat on the office chair. In Star Shield, there are still 3 nascent soul experts, but I don't dare to use one of them. 11 Inner Core Realm. But these 11 Inner Core Realm experts don't mean much to this battle. Then only 1 high-level nascent soul expert and 1 mid-level nascent soul expert. Plus the 2 that the old principal sent me, 1 from Monkey Sun, 2 from Star Shield, 2 high-level nascent soul experts from the Dragon Blood team, plus Mu Yanyan and Xiao. That's 9 people. With 9 people working together, can't we take down one? As he was thinking, there was a whoosh sound in front of him. Mu Yanyan in white descended from the sky. Bureau Chief Jiang. It's like this. Zhang Zhongbin spoke and exchanged greetings as he took Mu Yanyan to the secret room. There will be others coming in a while. I'll explain the general situation first. This time we're dealing with a Star Lord. Mu Yanyan was shocked when she heard this. Was it necessary to play so big? Star Lord? Was it possible? Why would a Star Lord come to Phoenix City? When? Tonight. Even our own people have just confirmed this time. The other party can't have known earlier. Only then can we ensure that we catch them off guard and succeed in one fell swoop. As soon as Zhang Zhongbin sat down, he said anxiously, Teacher Mu, this time it's very dangerous. I heard that several of your senior and junior brothers came to Phoenix City yesterday? Mu Yanyan was stunned. Zhang Zhongbin said sincerely, Teacher Mu, for Phoenix City. Please invite your senior and junior brothers to come with us and participate in this grand undertaking. Mu Yanyan suddenly felt embarrassed. Sui Xiaonian's warning yesterday sounded in her heart again. There's a white tiger evil spirit coming from the southeast. And for this tribulation, you're the first to bear the brunt. This is a big variable. For a moment Mu Yanyan was full of bitterness. That white tiger evil spirit. Was it referring to them? Chapter 201. Mu Yanyan was lost in thought. Last night, after reuniting with her senior and junior fellow apprentices, she didn't find any problems. Everything was the same as before. They were still kind and relaxed. Teacher Mu? Zhang Zhongbin urged. Mu Yanyan had a difficult expression on her face as she said, Chief Jiang, I shouldn't have rejected your request, but now I'm afraid that if something happens to my fellow disciples, the plan will be ruined. Hey, what are you talking about? Zhang Zhongbin said. They are all people who have been cultivating in the Kunlun Taoist sect all their lives. How can there be any mistakes? Mu Yanyan was shocked by this sentence. She thought, yes, they are all people who have been cultivating in the Kunlun Taoist sect all their lives. How can there be any mistakes on them? The white tiger evil spirit. Maybe it doesn't mean my senior and junior fellow apprentices. Thinking of this, she inexplicably felt a lot more relaxed and better. There should be other enemies. In the southeast, there may not only be the Kunlun Taoist sect. The southeast is a big place. Teacher Mu, Zhang Zhongbin said, as we all know, the Kunlun Taoist sect and the Umno Alliance are mortal enemies. This time we are dealing with the Umno Alliance. Teacher Mu, no matter what, you have to help me. Mu Yanyan was still weighing in her heart. After a long time, Mu Yanyan gritted her teeth and said in a deep voice, okay. I will tell my senior fellow apprentices later. At the same time, there was a voice quietly in her heart. I can use this battle to confirm whether it is true or not. Although I am sure it is not true, and I don't want them to be true, but I am still worried. If there is any mistake in this battle when Xiaonian breaks through, there will always be more precautions, and it will be safer. Compared with that, Xiaonian's breakthrough is more important. Of course they are all right, which is the best result. Zhang Zhongbin was overjoyed and said, Thank you, Teacher Mu. I believe that in this way our action will be more foolproof. He counted with his fingers. The number of people he had gathered today had reached 13 nascent soul masters. With such a lineup, he had great confidence in defeating them no matter what. Okay, Zhang Zhongbin said, then it's decided. We'll start the operation tonight. Not long after, the others arrived one after another. Zhang Zhongbin gave them a brief introduction of today's mission. After that, Zhang Zhongbin gathered everyone together. In order for the big event to go smoothly, let's not move around. Let's wait here for tonight's activity. All right. Everyone was able to see the big picture, so they all agreed readily without any objections. Then, everyone gathered together and began to deduce the battle situation. He deduced every position, every method, and every battle formation. It's not a big problem. Han Song pondered, as long as the information is true. His current cultivation is at most at the beginning of the cloud transformation stage. Reaching the middle of the cloud transformation stage is already a miracle. It shouldn't be a problem if we take him down. Alright. Dusk. Zhang Zhongbin changed into casual clothes, left Star Shield, and went to the governor's mansion. Is Grandmaster Shang here? Zhang Zhongbin asked the guard of the governor manor. Seems to be here. I'm looking for him. Zhang Zhongbin laughed. We haven't had a drink together for a long time. It's been really tiring. Amidst the laughter, he swaggered in. Shang Qingyun was directing a group of guards to deal with the miscellaneous items in the courtyard. She had a thin figure, white hair, and sunken eyes. She looked very haggard. She stood with her hands behind her back, cold and cheerless. Brother Shang. Teacher Shang. Zhang Zhongbin almost ran all the way there and laughed. Busy. Shang Qingyun turned her head, and a smile appeared on her face that looked like an air-dried orange peel. Chief Jiang? Chief Jiang, why are you so free today? After working for so long, I can finally take a break. Zhang Zhongbin's face was full of melancholy. The moment they met, he started to complain. Teacher Shang, Phoenix City is such a small border town. Why are there so many things happening recently? I've been so busy these few days that my head is about to explode. Shang Qingyun smiled faintly, as if the wrinkles on her face were pulled. She still had one hand behind her back and said, Which city doesn't have many things to do? Chief Jiang, this is the world of mortals. As long as a person is alive, there will be endless things to do and endless worries to worry about. Elder Shang is right. It's a famous saying. Zhang Zhongbin laughed and said, That's why I'm finally free today. Didn't I rush over? I specially came to ask if the governor is free. Is he free today? The governor seems to have something to do and went out. Shang Qingyun said faintly, I heard. Something happened at the Long family's manor. That's fine. They already said it was a misunderstanding. The Long family can be considered a big deal in our Phoenix City. How can they attract the attention of a soul transformation cultivator? Zhang Zhongbin was a little disappointed. However, the Long family is still the governor's daughter by marriage. I'm afraid they'll have to eat dinner before coming back. Shang Qingyun smiled, I guess so too. I finally wanted to drink tonight. Coincidentally, the governor isn't here. It seems like the heavens have given Brother Shang a day off. Let's go, follow me. Shang Qingyun frowned and said, This is my duty. How can I go out so easily? Whether the governor is here or not is not an excuse. I can't not do anything. Ha ha ha. Zhang Zhongbin laughed and said, Teacher Shang, Brother Shang's duty, tsk. Let's not talk about it. Anyway, you have to accompany me for a drink tonight. Otherwise, I won't let you go. I really can't. Shang Qingyun's expression didn't change. She said, I have to guard the governor's manor. I can't go out. Chief Jiang, you should find someone else. Zhang Zhongbin sighed and said, I apologize to Brother Shang. It's all my fault, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have asked the governor the moment I arrived. This is all my fault. I should have directly asked Brother Shang out for a drink. Brother Shang is a magnanimous person. Please don't be angry with me. Shang Qingyun was angry. I really didn't mean that. If you didn't mean that, does that mean you agreed? Zhang Zhongbin pulled Shang Qingyun and walked out. I was afraid that I had offended you just now. I didn't even go out for a drink. I used to be quite straightforward. Shang Qingyun was speechless. You didn't do that before. Sai, who cares if he was straightforward or not? Anyway, Brother Shang, you have to give me some face today. I finally wanted to drink some wine, but there's no one to accompany me. Don't you think this is infuriating? I have prepared 300 years of drunk plum blossom. As Zhang Zhongbin pulled Shang Qingyun out, he yelled, You people, you're all good at work. Don't slack off. Even if you slack off, don't get caught. I've dragged your head chief out for a drink. You're on your own now. Those who need to sleep, go to sleep. Those who need to skip work and go home to see their wives, go see your wives. I can only help you to this point. I can't do more. Shang Qingyun was speechless as she was dragged away. She shook her head and sighed. Chief Jiang, I really have something to do. 300 years of drunk plum blossom. I have prepared 10 bottles. Jiang Zhongbin stopped and raised 4 fingers. Tonight we will only drink 4 bottles. As for the remaining 6 bottles, I will bring them all back for you. What do you want? Don't give me that. Let me ask you, am I a good friend? Am I a good friend? Jiang Zhongbin raised his head proudly. Brother Shang, my face is in your hands. Either you give me face or you give me a slap in return. I will turn around and leave immediately. Shang Qingyun was at a loss. Chief Jiang, it's fine, come on. I will turn around and leave with a slap. I will not look for you to drink in the future. Even if you invite me to drink, I will not come. How about it? Let's cut off all ties and never talk to each other again. Jiang Zhongbin stretched out his face. Brother Shang, come. Do you want to fight? If you don't want to fight, then accompany me for a drink. If you fight, then I will slap you. Shang Qingyun finally relented helplessly and smiled bitterly. I have long heard that Chief Jiang of Starshield is a rascal. I did not expect this rascal to stick to me today. Forget it, let's go, I will accompany you for a drink. Sigh, this is my good brother. Jiang Zhongbin laughed loudly and puffed out his chest. Everyone in front, move aside. What are you looking at? I am talking about you and you and you and you. All of you move aside. The chief executive is out on patrol. Whoever he bumps into will be unlucky. Shang Qingyun frowned and followed behind him. Her face was full of helplessness. Keep your voice down. I am happy today, so I must be loud. I will say this even in front of the governor. Jiang Zhongbin looked up and laughed. This life is too bitter, too tiring, too troublesome. When is the best time? It is when to drink. Wine is a treasure that has existed for thousands of years. Brother Shang, do you know why wine is an ancient treasure? Shang Qingyun smiled. I would like to hear Chief Jiang's wise words. Before I drank wine, I was just a small bureau chief. No matter who I saw, I had to nod and bow my head. But I had to do it for you. After drinking wine. Jiang Zhongbin laughed loudly. Don't talk about Star Shield. Phoenix City, Central Plains. Ha ha ha, even Astral Souls is mine. Mine. Shang Qingyun finally could not help but laugh. Chief Jiang, you are really a sentimental person. Of course, otherwise, how can I be friends with Brother Shang? Jiang Zhongbin smiled and suddenly became serious. Brother Shang, we have known each other for a long time. What do you think of me when you first met me? What kind of person do you think I, Jiang Zhongbin, am? When we first met, Shang Qingyun could not help but be brought back to her memories. Her gaze was distant as she said, that should be 19 years ago, right? Yes, it was a spring 19 years ago. It was an unusually cold spring and it was snowing. We met in the snow for the first time. When I saw you, I felt that the big brother of my life was here. What about you? Jiang Zhongbin recalled and asked with a smile. Chapter 202. Shang Qingyun's face was a little twisted as she said, I really don't remember the details. I only remember that 19 years ago a little fatty stood in front of me. Snowflakes were falling and the cold wind was blowing. Then I realized that the top of the little fatty's head was already empty. At that time my eyesight was not good, so I thought. The snowflakes that fell on the little fatty's head did not melt. When I took a closer look, I realized that he was already bald. The smile on Jiang Zhongbin's face suddenly froze. Brother Shang. You. Ha ha ha. I'm kidding. Shang Qingyun laughed loudly. She finally made a joke of Jiang Zhongbin. She was in a good mood and spoke more. I booked a small restaurant in front. It's a place that I often go to. The food is not bad. Jiang Zhongbin pointed forward and sighed. Brother Shang, I'm such a high-ranking official. It's uncomfortable to go to those high-end places. I can't even take a photo. Sigh. Besides, it's even more uncomfortable to eat for free. Am I, Jiang Zhongbin, the kind of person who can't afford to eat cheap food? Shang Qingyun's face was calm. She did not comment. Besides, I'm such a high-ranking official. How can I eat for free? Those people are just looking down on me. Jiang Zhongbin snorted and patted his chest. I'm a model of righteousness, a model of self-restraint, and a model of honesty and integrity. Sigh. Shang Qingyun sighed. She felt that this guy was really talkative. So, I just asked someone to book this roadside farmhouse. Jiang Zhongbin whispered into Shang Qingyun's ear. This restaurant is actually opened by my brother-in-law's brother-in-law. Brother Shang, please take care of me in the future. Shang Qingyun was instantly annoyed. She reached out and poked him a few times. She did not know whether to laugh or cry. After all this time you were waiting for me here? Don't worry about eating here. As they spoke, they had already arrived at the small restaurant. Jiang Zhongbin pushed open the door and walked in. He said in a hoarse voice, Liuzi, how are the dishes? They're ready. They've been ready for a long time. A young man wearing an apron ran out with a smile. Brother Jiang, I've been preparing this meal for 3 days. Bullshit. 3 days ago, I didn't even know that I was coming here to eat. Besides, how can the ingredients you prepared 3 days ago still be fresh? Jiang Zhongbin mercilessly exposed him. Don't try this on me, you brat. I'm telling you, if the dishes tonight taste bad, I'll revoke your license. Oh my. Since you're here, of course it's delicious. The young man laughed and said, if it doesn't taste good, you don't have to revoke my license. You can just kill me and leave them some food to eat. Brat, you only know how to smooth talk. Jiang Zhongbin laughed and said, let's go to the room. Today your brother Jiang is rich and overbearing. I will directly book this small restaurant of yours. Don't receive any other guests. Let me tell you, both of us are experts. If we get drunk and go crazy, the others won't be able to withstand our punches and kicks. This is the truth, don't take it lightly. All right. The young man quickly agreed, Brother Jiang, since you're here, of course I have to serve you wholeheartedly. As for the others, who are they? I don't know you, ha 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 ha. Get lost. Hurry up and cook. You only know how to be obedient. Jiang Zhongbin laughed and scolded. Shang Qingyun said indifferently, no wonder no one comes to eat in this restaurant. So you booked the whole place? I must book the whole place if I want to treat Brother Shang to a drink. Jiang Zhongbin patted his chest and laughed, but I'm also considered a big shot. Hee. Immoral. Shang Qingyun finally couldn't help but laugh and scold him. She followed Jiang Zhongbin into the room. In fact, the moment Jiang Zhongbin entered the room, he vaguely felt that he seemed to have forgotten something important. But what exactly did he forget? Before Jiang Zhongbin could think about it, Shang Qingyun had already entered. Jiang Zhongbin didn't have time to think about what he had forgotten. He began to serve her attentively to ensure that he didn't reveal any flaws. But that inexplicable feeling in his heart was still lingering. What exactly did I forget? After 3 rounds of wine and 5 dishes, Jiang Zhongbin suddenly remembered. He slapped his thigh and said involuntarily, it's bad, it's bad. Shang Qingyun couldn't help but feel puzzled. She looked up and asked, what's bad? Jiang Zhongbin's face was full of regret. He sighed and said, it's bad. He finally remembered what he had forgotten. Previously, in order to be safe, he had asked the old principal to take a look at his qi, hoping to have a rough estimate of the results of this battle. The old principal recommended Swordsmanship and was full of praise for him. And he had been so busy gathering the manpower for this battle that he didn't even have time to eat. He had forgotten to ask Swordsmanship to take a look at his qi and physiognomy, that the old principal had clearly reminded him of this several times. He actually forgot. But now he was facing Shang Qingyun. At this time the arrow was already knocked on the bow. How could he not release it? It was too late. I only thought about drinking and forgot that I still have something to deal with in the station. Jiang Zhongbin forced a smile. But it's already so late. I can only forget about it. I'll deal with it tomorrow. Come, Brother Shang, let's have another round. But he was still sighing in his heart. What should he do about this? Suddenly he felt uneasy. Just as Shang Qingyun and Jiang Zhongbin began to drink, Zhuoxiao's family also started to eat. Sister Nian, did you remind Teacher Mu? Yes, I did. I said it several times. Well, that's good. Although the unexpected disaster is not light, as long as we avoid it in advance, we can turn the misfortune into a blessing. Zhuoxiao grabbed a steamed bun and chewed like a hungry ghost. In the blink of an eye, Wu Yuding had only picked up some food with her chopsticks. She didn't even have time to swallow it. Zhuochanglu was still savoring the taste of the wine in his throat. Zhuo Xiaoduo had already eaten 12 steamed buns. Zhuo Xiaonian's eyes curved into crescents, and he only had one thought in his mind. Zhuochanglu and Wu Yuding looked at each other speechless. They could only sigh softly. In the future, the two of us will be professional pig farmers. Wu Yuding brought over another bowl of steamed buns for her son, shaking her head and sighing. Yuding, you think too highly of pigs. Zhuochanglu squinted. Pigs, how can they eat so much? Haha. Zhuo Xiaonian finally couldn't help laughing out loud. And at this moment, Zhuo Xiaoduo's expression suddenly changed. His legs were tightly clamped together, and his entire body was unnaturally stiff. His eyes were bulging out, and his two hands were pressing down on the table. The steamed bun in his mouth was so big that his cheeks were like a toad. He couldn't even chew. What's wrong? Wu Yuding was shocked when she saw this and blurted out. Zhuo Xiaoduo's expression was very strange. His brows were tightly knitted. He seemed to want to say something, but his mouth was full of steamed buns. He couldn't speak for a long time. This isn't sudden diarrhea, is it? Wu Yuding was surprised and then said, Zhuo Xiaoduo, I'm telling you, if you really have diarrhea, go to the toilet quickly. Don't disgust people at the dinner table. Zhuo Xiaonian became more and more overjoyed. She was about to laugh. Zhuo Xiaoduo maintained this strange posture for a full half a minute. Finally, he relaxed a little. He chewed the steamed bun in his mouth and swallowed it with difficulty. Then he said, what a trap. That nuisance came suddenly again without any warning. How can I be on guard? Wu Yuding and Zhuo Xiaonian's faces immediately became interesting when they heard this. Zhuo Xiaonian's face was red, but it wasn't appropriate to hit him at this moment. She could only roll her eyes and look at them one by one. She said, are you controlling your genuine qi to not break through the bridge of heaven and earth? Are you stimulating your dantian? Yes. That feeling was still coming in waves. Zhuo Xiaoduo was already having a hard time holding on, but he was still very hungry. He could only grab the steamed bun and chew it slowly. One steamed bun could be eaten in more than 20 seconds. This eating speed was still very fast for ordinary people, but for Zhuo Xiaoduo, it was definitely the slowest eating speed in his history of eating. It was definitely the first time. How many times has it been? Zhuo Xiaonian asked curiously. I don't remember the exact number, but it has been more than 10 times. Zhuo Xiaoduo looked at his arm. He could feel that his dantian had turned into a balloon that could explode at any time. All the meridians in his body seemed to be swollen. However, from the outside there was still nothing strange about it. More than 10 times. Zhuo Xiaonian said thoughtfully. Sister, how many times did you hold it in at that time? Zhuo Xiaoduo asked as he struggled with the genuine qi in his body and ate. At that time Zhuo Xiaonian rolled her eyes and said, many times. I don't remember the exact number. Who would remember that for no reason? Many times. Zhuo Xiaoduo instinctively understood that it was far more than the number of times he was doing now. He couldn't help but work harder. I'm already so far behind Nian Mai. If I can't even surpass her in this, I'm afraid I won't be able to catch up with her in the future. Teacher Qin had repeatedly said that the more innate meridians unblocking, the better it would be for the body, and the more foundation one would accumulate. As he thought of this, an inexplicable force suddenly appeared and suppressed all the agitated spiritual qi back into his dantian. The moment this torment came to an end, Zhuo Xiaoduo suddenly felt relaxed. He grabbed the steamed bun again and ate it crazily. His eating speed was even faster than before. Zhuo Xiaonian's eyes were curved as she held a bowl of porridge. She was eating the porridge one spoonful at a time. A few strands of hair fell down, reflecting on her delicate and almost transparent cheeks. She stared at the porridge and thought to herself, I'm not going to tell him that I only suppressed it 7 or 8 times in total. Let this kid hold it in. Anyway, the longer he holds it in, the better. Looking for monthly votes, subscriptions, recommendation tickets. Brothers and sisters, please support me. Thank you very much. Chapter 203. By the way, Nian Cat, have you reached the breakthrough point? Zhuo Xiaoduo asked. I reached it a long time ago. I reached it a few months ago. Otherwise, I wouldn't have planned to break through earlier. Zhuoxiaonian was a little distressed. Huh. In the past few months, every time my vital qi surged to break through, it would mysteriously end without any effect and then return to my dantian. Zhuoxiaonian looked at Zhuo Xiaoduo and smiled. Mine is much easier than yours. Because I don't need to control it at all, it will return to my dantian on its own. Then, the capacity of my dantian will naturally expand due to the counterforce. Waiting for the next breakthrough, I will hone it again and again, endlessly and continuously. Zhuo Xiaoduo said enviously, "You are at the pinnacle of the embryonic breathing realm. Do you still need to accumulate so much to break through to the origin elixir realm? How many times have you broken through now?" "Not many." Zhuoxiaonian smiled. "In the past few months I have only broken through about 20 times. When I can really break through, it will probably be about 40 times. 40 times. Hearing this number, Zhuo Xiaoduo was shocked. For a moment, he was so envious that his eyes turned blue. She didn't need to control it at all, and was naturally suppressed by the Phoenix Meridian. Compared to him, it was more than 100,000 times easier. What's more, every time they failed to break through, their true Yuan Qi would return to their dantian and directly enter the next primitive accumulation. Unlike him, every time he drove his true Yuan Qi back, it was so difficult that it was as if he wanted to poop his pants. If that was the case, when Zhuoxiaonian really broke through to the origin elixir realm, she would immediately have the combat power to fight against some nascent soul transformation practitioners. This was simply cheating. Not only Zhuo Xiaoduo, but even Wu Yuding and Zhuo Chonglu secretly exchanged glances when they heard this. Practitioners before the embryonic breathing realm were only afraid that their progress in breaking through would not be fast enough. Most of them, as long as they had the chance to break through, would break through in one go regardless of anything else. Who would think of accumulating? Even if there were such peerless geniuses, they would only accumulate 3 to 5 times under the care of their masters and elders. They would always worry about delaying their own progress and would continue to work on breaking through. Someone like Zhuoxiaonian, who had actually accumulated the strength to break through the Dan primordial core in the embryonic breathing realm, had never been seen or heard of before. Is this the effect of the power of heaven and earth? Zhuo Chonglu's face was calm, as if he didn't understand, but the shock in his heart was like a stormy sea. Wu Yuding's self-control was slightly weaker, but the shock in her eyes could not be concealed. After being glared at by Zhuo Chonglu, she came to her senses and hurriedly restrained herself. However, she immediately felt indignant. She grabbed her spoon and pointed it at Zhuo Chonglu. "Why did you glare at me just now?" Zhuo Chonglu looked up. "You glanced at me just now." Wu Yuding glared at him. "I was wrong." Zhuo Chonglu readily admitted his mistake and raised his hands in surrender. "I'll buy you a bag tomorrow." Humph. While Zhuo Xiaoduo and Zhuoxiaonian did not feel anything strange, they were still choked by this sudden display of affection. Zhuo Xiaoduo was still afraid that the feeling of breaking through would come again, so he tried his best to increase his eating speed. Naturally, he no longer cared about his manners and stuffed the steamed buns into his mouth one after another. After eating a total of 70 steamed buns, Zhuo Xiaoduo reached out his hand to grab more. He realized that he had already eaten a lot of steamed buns, so he still cherished the steamed buns on the steamer and ate them. He picked up the bowl of soup, raised his head, and ate. It was a pity that he still didn't feel full even after eating for a while. Zhuoxiaonian sighed and pulled out half a gazelle from the space ring again. "Here." Zhuo Xiaoduo cheered and took the gazelle. With one bite, half of the gazelle's butt was gone. Zhuo Chonglu looked melancholy. He said to Wu Yuding, "Buy 2 more stoves tomorrow. I'll also buy 2 big pots and steamers for steaming steamed buns." Wu Yuding nodded silently. "Also buy 30 to 40 bags of flour. It'll be enough to last us for half a month." Zhuo Chonglu nodded. He sighed softly. With this appetite, if he keeps eating like this for the rest of his life, I'm afraid that even Meng Tianyue would go bankrupt because of him. Zhuo Xiaoduo looked at Zhuo Chonglu innocently and said, "Dad, you're exaggerating. I can only eat a little. It's not that bad." Eat as much as you can." Zhuo Chonglu patted his son's shoulder and said lovingly, "Son, if you can really eat until I go bankrupt, I think the astral souls will sink. Dad is mighty. Awesome Kalas." Zhuo Xiaoduo flattered him at the right time. Zhuoxiaonian chuckled. After eating half of the gazelle, Duo stroked his stomach comfortably and leaned back in his chair. He said contentedly, I'm finally full for once. Sister Nian Nian, how can you keep eating your own food? You have so many suitors, haven't you treated them recently? This guy was obviously thinking about freeloading. However, Xiaonian's face suddenly became serious. She revealed her sharp canine teeth and said, Damn it. I'm just saying. I don't mean anything else. I really don't. Duo immediately admitted defeat. His cowardice was so logical and natural. Unexpectedly, as soon as he finished speaking, that very strange feeling rushed over him again like a tsunami. Duo's body immediately stiffened. His eyes bulged and his legs almost instinctively clamped together. His whole body once again straightened in the chair and stopped moving. Ha 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 ha. Xiaonian was overjoyed when she saw this. She laughed for a long time. While laughing, she suddenly felt inexplicably flustered. Her right eyelid twitched violently and kept twitching. Xiaonian didn't know why this happened. Her face changed greatly. Chonglu couldn't help but frown when he saw this. Nian what's wrong? Xiaonian murmured, I don't know what's going on. I suddenly felt inexplicably flustered. My heart felt uncomfortable. My right eyelid kept twitching. This has never happened before. This is telepathy? Chonglu's eyes suddenly widened. Xiao Duo. Chonglu shouted. Hurry up and take a look at your sister Nian. For the entire day, Xiao Duo had been fighting with the true Yuan Qi in his body almost all the time. It was so hard that he wanted to die. At this critical moment, the spirit Qi in his body surged endlessly. Xiao Duo pushed back wave after wave with great difficulty. What kind of feeling was that? It was as if a mountain-like tide was rushing towards a dam that was completely made up of loose sand. It couldn't stop the water. As long as it reached the dam would definitely collapse. What Xiao Duo had to do now was to push back all the tide. He didn't dare to be negligent at all. At this moment, when he heard Chonglu's words, Xiao Duo turned his head with difficulty and said word by word, Dad. It's okay. I read Sister Nian's face every morning. When he turned his head and saw Xiaonian's face, he was shocked by what he saw. Fuck. The black gas on Xiaonian's face had condensed into a shape. Her face was so ugly that it had never been seen before. Xiao Duo was shocked and his state of mind suddenly changed. He pushed back the surging true yuan and stood up abruptly. What's going on? Where did this murderous aura come from? Xiaonian said blankly, murderous aura? Me? It's not you. Xiao Duo said flatly. It should be the people closest to you. But the people closest to you are all here. Xiao Duo turned his head to look at Chonglu and Wu Yuding and found that the two were fine. They were still as peaceful as ever. He rushed to the mirror to look at his face and was shocked to find that his face was exactly the same as Xiaonian's. The black gas had almost condensed into a solid form. This was clearly a sign that a disaster was about to befall one's loved ones. But all of his loved ones were here. Then, who else could it be? Xiaoduo's brain was working to the extreme at this moment. He immediately listed out the candidates. Hu Ruoyun, Qin Fengyang, and He Yuanyue. One of the three must be in trouble. Something big must happen. And the closest person to Xiaonian, besides her family, could only be Mu Ying. But if they were in trouble at the same time, Hu Ruoyun's cultivation was obviously far from the level of being in trouble together with Mu Yanyan. Then there was only one person left. Qin Fengyang. In just 1 second, Xiao Duo figured it out. It's Teacher Qin and Teacher Mu who are in trouble. Xiao Duo turned to look at Xiaonian. Didn't you inform Teacher Mu? The white tiger evil spirit came from the southeast. How could something happen? Xiaonian was flustered. You've already informed them. You've really informed them. I could hear the sadness and panic in Master's voice at that time. That kind of helplessness was real. He must have realized something. How could? No. Xiao Duo immediately called Qin Fengyang. But the number was dialed, but there was no signal. Xiaonian also immediately called Mu Yanyan. But no matter the new number or the original number, she couldn't get through. I'll go out and take a look. Stop. You're not allowed to go. Xiao Duo roared. The situation now is that both of them are in danger. Even they can't deal with the crisis. With your cultivation you'll just die if you go. You won't be of any help. He anxiously paced back and forth in the room like a trapped beast. How could this happen? How could such a crisis suddenly happen? That's completely impossible. There were no signs at all. I just separated from Teacher Qin yesterday. Even if it was an emergency, I should have seen some clues. How could I not see it at all? Could it be that this emergency involves someone who is far beyond the scope of my ability to read faces? But such a person. Where in Phoenix City can there be such a person? Who else? Whose cultivation is much higher than Teacher Mu and Teacher Qin's? And who is in Phoenix City? Then now the only thing I can do is to ask for help. Zuoxiaoduo was like an ant on a hot pan. He hurriedly called He Yuanyue. The only master he could think of now was Sister Lan, who was by He Yuanyue's side, who could help. Oh. Chapter 204. Grandma, He is Grandma Lan here? Zuoxiaoduo's voice was extremely urgent. She's not here. She went out with Qin Fengyang to do something. He Yuanyue heard Zuoxiaoduo's tone and immediately responded, giving him more detailed information. It's over. Since Sister Lan was with Qin Fengyang, it was certain that he couldn't get through to her phone. He Yuanyue asked anxiously, what's the matter? The situation is very wrong now. No, it's extremely dangerous. Zuoxiaoduo asked, what are they doing? He Yuanyue straightened up in shock. What are they doing? You don't know? Should I know? Zuoxiaoduo was also shocked. No one came to you today? He Yuanyue's voice changed. No. Zuoxiaoduo asked anxiously, what's going on? Why did it change so much? If you don't know what's going on, why did you call me? I saw Sister Nian Nian's face just now. Suddenly a black aura rushed to my head. The people closest to my master are about to die. So. He Yuanyue hung up and fell to the ground silently. It's over. He Yuanyue struggled to stand up, but fell to the ground with a thud. Tears flowed out of her eyes. It's over. If Sister Lan, Teacher Qin, Teacher Mu, and the others are working together and their lives are in danger at the same time, Zuoxiaoduo's expression was extremely serious. Then in Phoenix City, who else can help? There's no one else. Zuoxiaonian's face was pale, and her eyes were filled with panic. Then what should we do? Zuoxiaoduo pulled his hair. But now we don't know anything. The worst thing is, we don't have anyone to help us. For the first time, Zuoxiaoduo felt powerless. Previously, even when they were attacked by the Umno Alliance, Zuoxiaonian still came to their rescue. Even in the face of Mu Yunfeng's assassination, he still had Qin Fengyang's help. But now a powerful enemy had suddenly appeared. He was truly powerless. Manpower. Zuochanglu narrowed his eyes and took a deep breath. Yes, there is. The siblings turned to look at Zuochanglu at the same time. Their eyes filled with disbelief. Zuochanglu didn't say anything. He walked into the study and wrote a note. Xiaonian, hurry up and find your blacksmith Uncle Wu as fast as you can. Give this note to him and ask him to come to the rescue immediately. Uncle Wu? Yes, it's him. Go quickly. All right. The Zuoxiaonian didn't hesitate. She grabbed the note and turned into a cold white light, flying out of the window. Although Zuoxiaonian did not know what the Uncle Wu that her father mentioned was useful or not, at this moment, she could only try her best. Go home as soon as you deliver the note. Zuoxiaoduo ran to the window and yelled. That's not a place you can go. Outside the window the wind was whistling and the rain was drizzling. The world was damp. He didn't know if Zuoxiaonian heard him, but she was already far away. In the distance there was already a tremor. It seemed that masters had begun to fight. Dad. Uncle Wu. Can he do it? Zuoxiaoduo asked worriedly as he looked at the drizzle outside the window with a focused gaze. If your Uncle Wu can come in time, he can turn the situation around. Zuochanglu sighed softly. I'm just afraid. He can't come in time. When masters fight, life and death are decided in an instant. Even if it's just a second, it's enough to decide life and death thousands of times. If he can't help in time, no matter how strong he is, he can't do anything. Zuoxiaoduo frowned and thought. I can see the fortune and misfortune of people, but why can't I see it this time? I clearly saw Teacher Qin this morning. Zhou Chonglu couldn't answer Zhou Xiaodui's question, because he didn't know anything about this line of work. This matter is too strange. It's unbelievable and inexplicable. On the other side, in the Zhou restaurant, Jiang Zhongbin was still drinking with Shang Qingyun. At this moment, 4 bottles of drunk plum blossom had been emptied. Jiang Zhongbin's eyes were a little hazy. At this moment, someone's voice came from outside. Where's the boss? Prepare 2 dishes and drink some wine. It feels good to drink some wine in the drizzle. The person who spoke had a strong voice and was full of vitality. Shang Qingyun's eyes, which had always been indifferent, flickered. The boss's voice sounded. I'm sorry, boss. The restaurant is closed today. Closed? Why are you opening the door if you're closed? Aren't there people eating here? Why are you afraid we don't have money? No, it's really not. Today our restaurant has been booked by the boss inside. Booked? How fucking unlucky. How can there be such a lousy restaurant in such a lousy place? The people outside started cursing. Where did this poor bastard come from? How dare he learn how to book a restaurant? If he has money, he should go to the city center and book a big hotel. What kind of rich person is he to book a small restaurant? Even if he wants to show off, he shouldn't do it like this. He should be pretending to be an idiot, right? How is this pretending to be an idiot? He's just an idiot. How fucking unlucky. What's wrong with the world now? Strange things happen every time we go out. This idiot came to this place to book a restaurant. We just want to have a meal and we have to encounter such a strange thing. This is fucking doggone. The people outside scolded more and more harshly. The boss's voice was persuading them. Big brother, keep your voice down. The person inside is a big shot. Fuck him. A big shot? He's a big shot just because he booked a restaurant? That voice walked in while cursing. I want to see what kind of big shot he is today. He came to the middle of nowhere to book a restaurant. Who has such a high status to be a big shot in the eyes of the boss of a small restaurant? The footsteps were actually coming towards the room. Jiang Zhongbin's face was full of anger and murderous intent. He muttered, where did these 2 idiots come from? How dare they disturb my mood? Shang Qingyun's thin face didn't change. She quietly placed her fingers on the table. With a bang, the door was pushed open. Who is it? How can you be so thick-skinned? A tall, thin man appeared at the door with a face full of hostility. Is it fun to book a restaurant here? If you're so rich, why don't you go to the Arctic snow mountain and book a restaurant for fun? Jiang Zhongbin slammed the table and stood up. He said angrily, bastard. Can't you see that there's someone in the room? Is this your upbringing? Don't you know basic manners? The thin man sneered. I've never shown any restraint to people who want to show off when they have no money. Fatty, you're the one who booked the restaurant? Come. I'll teach you what it means to book a restaurant. I'll give you a chance to show what restraint is. Jiang Zhongbin roared angrily, bastard. Before he finished speaking, he had already rushed over like a whirlwind. He raised his hand and slapped the thin man's face. The thin man raised his hand and grabbed Jiang Zhongbin's hand. He said contemptuously, just this strength? You actually dare to book a restaurant? Big shot. Ha ha. Go play somewhere else. With a shake of his hand, he actually threw Jiang Zhongbin's entire body out. He used a lot of strength. Before Jiang Zhongbin could stop cursing, he was already thrown into the rain. He didn't know how far he flew. Shang Qingyun raised her head indifferently and stood up slowly. She looked at the thin man in front of the door and said indifferently, Sir, you've gone too far. Fuck you, old bastard. You can't be a good person as a guest. Why? Pretending to be calm in front of me? The thin man laughed loudly. You're not fucking qualified. Shang Qingyun smiled faintly and moved her neck. She said indifferently, It seems that you want to fight? Come, old thing, I'll let you see what it means to fight. The thin man suddenly rushed up like a whirlwind and slapped repeatedly. Yes, it was slapping repeatedly. In an instant there were at least hundreds of slaps. Looking at this posture, he wanted to slap Shang Qingyun until she fainted. Shang Qingyun snorted. Starlight flashed in her eyes. She raised her hand and a bamboo chopstick had already pierced through the thin man's palm. Blood dripped out. She completely ignored the palm shadows in the sky and directly pierced through with the chopstick. The thin man didn't care about this change. He was shocked and somersaulted out. He shouted sternly, "It's hard to deal with." Looking at the bamboo chopstick that pierced through his palm, his eyes were already dignified to the extreme. The current situation had far exceeded his expectations. This thin man, Yang Yu, was at the intermediate level of cloud transformation. His strength was above Qin Fengyang, Mu Yanyan and Sister Lan. His hand had almost been cultivated to the point of being indestructible. Even if an expert of the same level fought with his weapon, his bare hand could still withstand the opponent's weapon. But now it was pierced through by a bamboo chopstick. If he didn't experience it himself, he would only think of this as a big joke. But now there was only a big shock. What was this Shang Qingyun's cultivation? How could it be so sharp? At this moment in the night sky, there was suddenly a flash of brilliance. A dazzling sword light came in a trance. It was unimaginably fast and indescribably gorgeous. It was like the sun had suddenly appeared, and with unparalleled power, it rushed at an extremely fast speed. Its target was Shang Qingyun. In just a flash it was already in front of Shang Qingyun. Qin Fengyang masked attacked. Body and sword as one. Shang Qingyun's eyes flashed with a touch of surprise. She opened and closed her skinny palm and slapped out horizontally. With a muffled boom, Shang Qingyun's body swayed. But with a muffled groan, Qin Fengyang's body flew out like a kite with a broken string. The sword in his hand directly broke into 17 or 18 pieces. A mouthful of blood was stuck in his throat and he almost spat it out. Qin Fengyang's heart was already filled with a huge shock. What kind of person was Zhang Zhongbin going to deal with this time? Chapter 205. Qin Fengyang had used all his strength to test the waters, and the other party had only casually slapped out with his palm, causing the sword to be destroyed and the person to be injured. This kind of cultivation was absolutely earth-shattering and shocking. At the right moment, sword and knife light, all kinds of lights flashed. The entire restaurant flew up into the air with a loud boom. More than 10 rays of light that were faster and sharper than lightning came from all directions, from the sky and on the ground, attacking at the same time, aiming at Shang Qingyun. Facing such a lineup, even Shang Qingyun couldn't help but be shocked. So many people. Could it be a premeditated attack? But it didn't seem like it. Shang Qingyun took a deep breath. Just as she was about to make a move to deal with the enemy, her expression suddenly changed. She raised her thin head and looked in the direction where Zhang Zhongbin had flown out in bewilderment. His gaze immediately turned into extreme hatred. At this moment, when he breathed in, he actually felt that the inner yuan qi in his body that was like the waves of the sea had slowed down. The sea was still turbulent, but it was sealed with a layer of ice. He couldn't rush out. An inexplicable force had blocked the energy in his dantian. Poison. The only explanation for such a situation was that it was poisonous. Otherwise, it was absolutely impossible. Shang Qingyun's gaze suddenly became extremely furious. So all of this was a trap. A killing trap. And also at this moment the weapons of the 12 people attacked his body at the same time. Shang Qingyun shouted angrily, his face instantly becoming incomparably malevolent as he shouted, "Zhang Zhongbin." His voice was like thunder, exploding suddenly. The 12 people who attacked felt pain in their ears, but were glad that they had succeeded. The attacks from 12 different directions were already close to him. Even if the other party had the ability to pierce through heaven and earth, there was no way he could avoid it. But they were wrong. Shang Qingyun's entire body, at the moment when their attacks were about to reach him, a large amount of inner yuan qi like clouds appeared all over his body. With a boom it exploded in all directions. This scene was like a super bomb that had suddenly exploded on the spot. An unprecedented tyrannical force was pushed out in all directions from the center point. The 12 of them simultaneously felt a sharp pain in their eyes due to the shock wave. They couldn't help but close their eyes. Their hair and robes fluttered in the air at the same time. However, the 12 experts did not care. The weapons in their hands stabbed forward with all their might. They had already made contact with Shang Qingyun's body, and the tips of their weapons had already pierced into her skin. However, that was it. No matter how hard the 12 experts tried, They couldn't push the tip of the weapon forward by even a millimeter. Shang Qingyun raised his head and roared furiously. His entire body was suffused with a strange blue luster. His beard and hair stood on end as he roared furiously, Jiang, grow, Bian. The 13 of them fell into a strange stalemate. The 12 of them hovered in the air, maintaining the state of being one with the sword. The person in the center seemed to be glowing from head to toe. He raised his head to the sky and roared. White and blue light constantly burst out from his body, resisting the attacks of the 12 people. The 12 experts joined forces and went all out, but they couldn't pierce the target's body with their weapons. As the stalemate continued, more and more blue light emerged from Shang Qingyun's body. Her aura also became stronger and stronger. This is Zhu Wu's golden body technique. Among the 12, Han Song, who had the highest cultivation, shouted, Qin Fangyang, quickly take action. We must break this stalemate as soon as possible. The golden body technique has sealed everything. We can't get away. Once the poison is forced out by Shang Qingyun, we will. Needless to say, the sword light that was sent flying earlier once again shone in the dark and rainy night. Although Qin Fangyang's sword was useless, he used the most extreme form of inner yuan to form a sword. Using the momentum of no return, the distance of 1,000 feet could be said to be non-existent. Swoosh! Shang Qingyun opened her arms and raised her head to the sky. Her feet were in the shape of the Chinese character. Her chest was exposed. At this moment, she was using all her strength to force out the poison, and using the golden body technique to restrain the 12 experts. She couldn't move at all. Qin Fangyang's sword, with a resolute attitude, used all his strength and ruthlessly stabbed into Shang Qingyun's chest. With a poof, even the tip of the sword went deep into her chest. Explode! Qin Fangyang roared and was about to flip out. The entire sword of inner yuan exploded in Shang Qingyun's chest. Shang Qingyun let out a loud cry. She no longer cared about the Jinshin de Fa, and desperately threw a palm strike down on Qin Fangyang's body like lightning. Qin Fangyang used his injured body to forcefully destroy his lifetime's power, and condensed all of his Zhenyuan qi into a Zhenyuan sword. After the success of this sword strike, his body was already exhausted. His body, which was about to flip over, was hit directly by Shang Qingyun's palm strike. There was a loud bang. Qin Fangyang immediately let out a muffled groan, and the bones in his body crackled. It was clear that many of them were broken. His entire body flew out like a tattered rag doll, and disappeared in the night sky in a flash. Only the blood mist spurting out of Qin Fangyang's body was left in the air. His whereabouts were unknown, and it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. At the same time, at the moment when the sword of inner yuan exploded, the 12 people attacking her all roared together. Kill! All their cultivation surged at the same time, suddenly exploding. The 12 divine weapons, maintaining their initial momentum, pierced into Shang Qingyun's body from different directions. Blood splattered. Shang Qingyun screamed miserably. Her last breath of blue gas was about to be spat out, but in the end it was stuck in her neck, causing her entire neck to turn blue. Damn it! Shang Qingyun's body flashed with a golden light. Her body was as hard as steel. She suddenly locked all the weapons that pierced her body with her own body and spun like a whirlwind. With a whoosh, she turned into a huge whirlpool. Han Song once again warned, withdraw. Unfortunately, it was too late. Other than General Sun Bai, who had rich battle experience and was most sensitive to life and death situations, the Yunhua cultivators Han Song and Yang Yu had the highest cultivation and could pull out their long swords in time. Sister Lan also pulled out her weapon and brought Mu Yinyan out. The other people who participated in the attack all followed Shang Qingyun's body and turned. The weapons in their hands were all neatly broken into pieces in Shang Qingyun's body. A strong suction force came. It was as if Shang Qingyun had turned into a huge black hole at this moment. The rest of the people couldn't help but lean forward. Die! Shang Qingyun's eyes were like smoke black holes. Smoke lingered around her. Her two hands grabbed out like a whirlwind with the power of lightning. Poof! The long swords of the two Phoenix City Star Shield Masters had just been broken. They couldn't help but lean forward. They couldn't stop themselves. The first one to bear the brunt of Shang Qingyun's two hands was caught on the head in despair. He didn't even have time to scream. With two bangs, the brain juice burst out. Shang Qingyun's hands didn't stop. She directly grabbed and crushed all the flesh. The primordial spirit had just been condensed. It was completely too late to escape. It was already caught by Shang Qingyun in her hands. As she rubbed her palms together, a strange and inexplicable scream sounded. The primordial spirit turned into a cloud of black smoke and dissipated. His body and spirit were destroyed. He couldn't be more dead. 3 out of the 13 masters on her side were instantly reduced. Qin Fengyang was sent flying. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. The 2 nascent soul masters of Starshield were dead. The cultivation of these 2 people was at the bottom of all the people, but no matter what, they were real nascent soul cultivators. No one thought that they would be killed in an instant when they had a great advantage. Sister Lan and Mu Yinyan suddenly retreated 10 meters. Their faces were as pale as paper. Mu Yinyan's 4 fellow apprentices, however, groaned together. Like the 2 Star Shield masters, their weapons were broken. With the broken life weapon at this moment, their chests were as uncomfortable as rivers and seas, and they almost vomited blood. Mr. Chiu and General Sun Bai occupied the other side. General Sun Bai's blade was still dripping with blood, while Mr. Chiu only had a broken sword in his hand. His face was ashen. Han Song and Yang Yu, who were in the opposite position, were gloomy to the extreme. The shock in their hearts had reached an indescribable level. At this moment there was only one impulse in their hearts. Catch Zhang Zhongbin and beat him up. What kind of information was this? The strength of the Umno Alliance master in front of them was beyond their expectations. Not only had he reached the cloud transformation level, but he was also at the advanced stage of the cloud transformation level, close to the peak of the cloud transformation level. If it weren't for the opponent being unprepared and being poisoned before the battle, they wouldn't have been able to fight this battle. Even now, even though the opponent had been poisoned and had more than a dozen holes in his body, the situation was still not optimistic. On the other side, General Sun Bai spat out a mouthful of saliva. His face was distorted and he hated his brother, who was the director of the Martial Arts Bureau. It's been 20 years since I've finally returned home to visit my family, and you fucking gave me a job that I'm going to die for. I rarely encountered such a supermaster in the Sun and Moon Pass. Even if I did, it wouldn't be my turn to deal with him. You Sun Fengho are really my brother. You are my brother. You actually found such a person in the rear and asked me to deal with an advanced stage nascent soul cultivator. Who the fuck would believe you? In the blink of an eye, an advanced stage nascent soul cultivator became an advanced stage cloud transformation cultivator. Do you think our mother gave birth to too many of us? Or are you afraid that I will fight for your inheritance of the 2 bungalows and the courtyard? If I can go back alive this time, if I can't beat the shit out of you, I won't let you off. Under everyone's gaze, Shang Qingyun's face was ferocious. He walked out step by step. His hands were like the claws of an eagle. With every step, he pulled out a section of the broken sword and saber from his body and threw them on the ground. Ding ding dang dang dang. After 7 steps, the 7 pieces of broken weapons that had pierced through his body were all taken out and thrown on the ground. As far as the eye could see, his body was still bleeding. But this time the bleeding only lasted for a moment. Countless wounds began to shrink and heal automatically. Chapter 206. Even the large hole in his chest caused by Qin Fengyang's Jinyuan sword also showed signs of healing. Strands of silver white sword qi, which was the sword qi of Qin Fengyang's lifetime of cultivation, were forced out by him bit by bit. They danced around him for a moment before falling down powerlessly. But his neck still had a strange blue luster. It was a ghastly sight. Zhang Zhongbin. Shang Qingyun's voice was laced with bone-deep hatred. There was only one person Shang Qingyun hated the most at this moment. Zhang Zhongbin. This bastard, his acting is so damn good. He had always prided himself on being a cautious person. Today's sudden invitation had made him somewhat suspicious. But this bastard's acting was natural and smooth. Every joke he made was witty and witty. Every time he spoke to him, his words were from the bottom of his heart. His expression was sincere, and he confided in him. His true feelings were revealed that in the end, he really did not suspect this brat at all. But when he arrived, he still could not figure out when he was poisoned. This was simply unforgivable. Jiang Zhongbin's body appeared in the distance, trembling. Are you done yet? Fuck, you're still alive? His eyes widened to the size of goose eggs. How could he still be alive? Shang Qingyun looked at him coldly. Speak, when did you poison me? When did I poison you? Jiang Zhongbin laughed. Brother Shang, you can't accuse me wrongly. This little brother is completely sincere to you. Fuck your mother. Shang Qingyun let out a long cry. He gritted his teeth and said, Jiang Zhongbin, do you think you can get away with it? Let me tell you, none of the people who came tonight should think of leaving alive. Jiang Zhongbin rolled his eyes. What are you so arrogant for? You've been poisoned with vanishing cloud. How long can you last? Look at your blue neck. Blue eyes. Are you a blue-necked cobra? When they heard that it was vanishing cloud, everyone present let out a sigh of relief. This dispersing cloud powder was a famous poison. As the name implied, this thing was a poison specifically targeted at cloud transformation experts. After the target consumed it, their entire body would turn blue and their meridians would show signs of intermittent blockages. What's more, this kind of poison would slowly eat away at a cloud transformation realm expert's true yuan qi. Once struck, it would be extremely hard to get rid of. It was no wonder that Shang Qingyun did not dodge at the beginning, but instead used Zhu Wu's golden body, because at that time he couldn't move. He immediately sensed the threat of this poison and chose to expel it with all his strength. Cloud vanishing powder combined with plum blossom intoxication. All you need to do is add a drop of orchid fragrance liquid, and it will be colorless, odorless, and formless. Jiang Zhongbin laughed maniacally. Brother Shang, my brother Shang, how do you feel now? Despicable scum. Shang Qingyun's snake-like eyes stared fixedly at Jiang Zhongbin. Taking a deep breath, she abruptly lunged forward. Die! Shang Qingyun's voice was hoarse. Han Song and Yang Yu, who were directly opposite her, flew up to meet her. At about the same time, Teacher Qiu, Sun Baijiang, Sister Lan, Mu Yanyan, and Mu Yanyan's 4 fellow apprentices all surrounded her and attacked again. 10 people, each using their full strength, firmly entangled Shang Qingyun. For a moment, sword light flashed, flowing with brilliant colors. In the night sky, in the curtain of rain, Shang Qingyun, who was surrounded in the center, was like a large ball. Her whole body flashed with brilliant colors, constantly moving. East, west, north, south. However, the battle situation was as Han Song and Yang Yu had predicted. It was still not optimistic. The 10 experts were almost led by the nose by Shang Qingyun alone. Her body flashed continuously, and at one moment, there were several shadows of Shang Qingyun, twisting and turning in the battle. Wherever she went, she was swept away by the wind. With a bang, Shang Qingyun fiercely punched the blade of Sun Baijiang's sword. The long sword buzzed and she almost hurt herself. Sun Baijiang retreated 7 steps. His face was pale and he spat out a mouthful of blood. But the moment he spat out the blood, he immediately rushed up. Sun Baijiang was a person who came from the military. He had rich combat experience and he was the leader of the people present. He was very clear that Shang Qingyun at this moment completely disregarded the consumption of her strength and used the greatest strength she could muster to repel him. Then she must have a big plan. Once there was a flaw on his side, it would only put the others in danger. Therefore, he couldn't care less about the unbearable feeling in his chest as he fearlessly rushed forward. There was no way he could give them this opportunity. Shang Qingyun's palm continuously collided with the swords of Mu Yanyan, Sun Baijiang, Sister Lan, and Yang Song. She tried her best to fight for a little shao space. Then a hand suddenly stretched out, and suddenly became a dozen meters long, grabbing at Teacher Qiu like lightning. Teacher Qiu saw the ferocious attack, and hurriedly turned sideways, finally avoiding the vital part of his head. But the hand did not change its direction, and continued to fall. With a crack, Teacher Qiu cried out miserably. Half of his shoulder and arm had been grabbed by that hand, and fell off from his body as if he had been chopped by a knife. The others quickly came to help, but it was a pity that they did not have time to do anything to this hand. They saw the hand suddenly retract. This small gap caused Teacher Qiu to be seriously injured on the spot. The side of his shoulder that was hit was completely gone, and there was a strange white light surging on the wound, preventing it from healing. From the broken part, one could even see the internal organs constantly moving. Teacher Cho took a dozen steps back and leaned against a big tree beside him. His face was pale, and he kept taking out pills and putting them into his mouth on the other side. There were continuous banging sounds, and the tyrannical strength kept sweeping in all directions. The rumbling sounds were endless, and the few remaining houses around the Joe shop also collapsed. But the two sides seemed to have teleported, and the moment the houses collapsed, they had collectively moved out. Bang! The two big persimmon trees at the entrance of the shop were directly broken at the waist, and the two huge treetops flew straight into the air. Zhang Han Song felt that the situation was getting worse and worse, and shouted, "Go! Go as far as you can!" Zhang Bin, who was 1,000 feet away, heard the shout and ran away without saying anything. "I've always been obedient in this matter. Where do you think you're going?" Shang Qingyun hated him to the bone, and would not let him escape. She took a palm from Mu Yanyan and a sword from Sister Lan, and flew up, chasing after Zhang Bin. For a moment her whole body was like a rainbow, and with blood dripping, she cut a fog-like path in the rain, chasing after Zhang Bin. Han Song and Yang Yu simultaneously used the body and sword as one technique, and flew up to intercept her. As an Origin Core Master, Zhang Bin's speed was naturally not slow when he used his full strength. In a moment he was already 1,000 feet away, but Shang Qingyun's speed was even faster, and was getting faster and faster. Behind her, Mu Yanyan shouted, and threw out her long sword, which turned into a stream of light, and flew towards Shang Qingyun's back. Shang Qingyun's left foot suddenly bent and blocked. With a clang, Mu Yanyan's long sword flew back like a windmill. But because of this, Shang Qingyun's speed slowed down a little. It was also because of this slight difference that Han Song and Yang Yu used the body and sword as one technique to catch up, and made Shang Qingyun's speed slower and slower. At the same time, Zhang Bin, who had escaped, had completely blended into the night, and his shadow was nowhere to be seen. Seeing the person she hated the most escape, Shang Qingyun roared, and punched and kicked, and her attacks were even more powerful than before. With a bang, Shang Qingyun's fist hit the blade of Yang Yu's sword, and the long sword involuntarily moved to the side. Yang Yu hurriedly tried to control it, but found that the long sword suddenly became extremely hot, and it was difficult for him to control it. "This is Zhu Wu's burning sky technique?" Yang Yu shouted, "Be careful, this guy knows the burning sky technique." Hearing this, everyone was shocked again. Zhu Wu's golden body technique. What was Shang Qingyun's identity in the Umno Alliance? How could she know so many secret techniques? Bang! 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 Shang Qingyun threw another 3 punches, and forced the 3 of them back. Rolling heat waves filled the air, and their mouths and noses froze. In this short period of time, Shang Qingyun flew up again with a soaring heat wave. This time she was even faster, and flew in the direction Zhang Bin had left. "In the sky, I'll chase you to the numinous sky hall. In the sea, I'll chase you to the crystal palace." Shang Qingyun roared at the sky, his hair and beard fluttering. "In the ground, I'll chase you to the 18th level of Sen Luo. Even if I become a wizard, I'll chase you to Sir Zhu Wu and kill you. Zhang Bin, you must die." The hatred in his heart had reached its peak. He had concealed his identity for so many years, just to wait here for his grand plan. In order to achieve his goal, he had even sacrificed 400,000 wolf bandits. Such a huge price, and for so many years without any action at all, had been destroyed by this fatty all of a sudden. The destruction came without any warning. It was so sudden that even now Shang Qingyun could not figure out how she had been exposed. How did Zhang Bin find out? This did not make any sense at all. Zhang Bin's escape route could be said to be in a panic. He knew that under the guidance of the aura, he could only be safe if he ran out of the range of the aura's guidance. Just now, when he had narrowly escaped, he had exploded with extreme speed and fled for his life. Unfortunately, the sharp aura behind him was still like a maggot attached to a bone, chasing after him relentlessly. He could not stop at all. Why is it so difficult to deal with? Zhang Bin fled forward with all his might. Suddenly he felt that something was not right. Below these ruins, shouldn't it be a manor? But at this moment Han Song's roar came from afar. "Dodge quickly." Zhang Bin did not have time to think. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his body rolled continuously. He forcefully changed his direction and abruptly moved 2,000 meters to the side. This move could be considered as a floating version of rolling on the ground 18 times, but it had a miraculous effect. Almost at the instant he left, an extremely tyrannical ball of true essence white light with a tinge of greenish-black exploded behind him with a rumble. With a loud boom, everything in front of him was changed beyond recognition under this blow. Although Zhang Zhongbin avoided the direct attack, he was still affected by the aftershocks. He only felt a sweet taste in his throat, and a mouthful of blood rushed up. His body was sent flying by the air wave and he was no longer conscious. And the ruins below were the former Long family manor. The old site of the Long manor was completely turned into dust under this blow from Shang Qingyun. The ruins that covered dozens of acres instantly turned into a deep pit close to 100 acres. This blow from Shang Qingyun had obviously used a great deal of energy. His deep hatred for Zhang Zhongbin was obvious. It was also because of this that after being caught by Han Song and the others, he was actually at a disadvantage for a time. He dodged left and right but could not charge out. But after a short while, following another long roar, the battle situation changed again. Among the stars of the Milky Way, there is one. The stars of eternity, lend me your light. Shang Qingyun's entire body was radiant with starlight. He soared into the sky and roared at the sky 1,000 feet high. His body suddenly bloomed with dazzling starlight, extremely magnificent. At the right time, a dazzling starlight left his body and directly reflected into the sky. Immediately, in the distant night sky, there was also a starlight that pierced through the rain and clouds and directly shone on Shang Qingyun's body. In an instant, Shang Qingyun's entire person, as if he was glowing, spun rapidly in the air. The starlight that suddenly arrived also spun with him, spinning with him. An enormous and indescribable life force abruptly spread out. The whole sky was filled with intoxicating vitality, full of intoxicating starlight. And into Shang Qingyun's body, begging for monthly votes, subscriptions, recommendation tickets. I can't finish it tonight, let's do it tomorrow. My stiff neck is so uncomfortable. Chapter 207. The moment the starlight shone on Shang Qingyun's body, the many wounds on his body healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Even the blue light on his neck was fading rapidly. Even the vanishing cloud's poison was removed at the same time. This starlight was so powerful. It really is the Star Master? Han Song was shocked, his eyes almost popping out of their sockets. How can there be a Star Master here? This is clearly the Star Master's borrowing constellation technique that can only be used once in a lifetime. Han Song didn't believe Zhang Zhongbin's words about the possibility of it being the Star Master. How important was the Star Master's position? Why would he come to a small place like Phoenix City? But now the truth was right in front of his eyes. The starlight was dazzling, and Shang Qingyun's body was still wrapped in starlight. He rushed down with unprecedented ferocity, his face ferocious, his long hair flying. As he pounced down, the surrounding trees on the ground all bent down neatly in all directions. He suddenly pointed his finger at Yang Yu and shouted, "Kill!" Yang Yu was stunned. Suddenly he felt a sharp pain in his chest. It turned out that the tip of a sword had pierced through his heart. Then, an extremely powerful sword chi burst out from his heart. With a boom, a fist-sized transparent hole exploded in his heart. "Who?" Yang Yu roared to the sky and turned into a white mist, just like Shang Qingyun before. The white mist formed a human figure again, but Yang Yu's face was as white as paper. His body was on the verge of collapse, and there was a completely transparent hole in his chest. Inside there was no longer a heart. This sudden and extremely sinister sword strike instantly severed all of Yang Yu's life force. A cloud transformation realm expert. He was completely unprepared for his comrade, who had been fighting side by side with him, to give him a fatal blow at this critical moment. Behind him, the person who delivered the fatal blow had a cold expression. "Second senior brother?" Mu Yinyan screamed miserably. "Why is it you?" The other senior brothers were also in disbelief, as if they had seen a ghost. The person who launched the sneak attack behind Yang Yu was Mu Yinyan's second senior brother. "Duan Tianyu?" Duan Tianyu asked indifferently, "Why not me?" Yang Yu staggered and clutched his chest, his face pale. Why? No reason. Duan Tianyu said indifferently. The one before you is my master. You wanted to kill my master, so why wouldn't I kill all of you? Shang Qingyun, who was in the air, laughed loudly. Tonight, none of you will leave. Han Song roared, Brother Yang, leave immediately. If he could find a place to escape with his primordial spirit and start all over again, he would have a chance. There is still a chance. Yang Yu sneered. I've been a tyrant all my life, but I was set up by a little bastard tonight. If I don't take revenge, what's the point even if my soul survives? Mu Yinyan's eldest senior brother had a serious look in his eyes as he shouted, Duan Tianyu, why are you doing this? How has the Dao sect wronged you? Duan Tianyu chuckled coldly. You're just a Bai Yan who climbed up the ranks based on your looks. What right do you have to ask me why? Die, you scoundrel. An afterimage flashed by, and Yang Yu had already charged toward Duan Tianyu. He was so fast that even Han Song couldn't react in time. Yang Yu didn't give the Dao sect people a chance to speak. They were already mortal enemies, so why ask why? It was completely meaningless. Duan Tianyu only felt his vision darken. Yang Yu, who was clearly on the brink of death, was already in front of him. He couldn't help but be shocked. Star Lord. He flew up with all his might toward Shang Qingyun in the air. Shang Qingyun only sneered in the air, but didn't move at all. Duan Tianyu rushed up, but he was only at the mid-stage of nascent soul, while Yang Yu was a true cloud transformation cultivator. The two of them had no chance of fighting one-on-one. Duan Tianyu only felt a chill in his chest. While he was in the air, Yang Yu's hand had already grabbed his heart out. Following that, his dantian was also crushed and destroyed. A wisp of his primordial spirit had just rushed out, but before it could form in the air, it was already caught by Yang Yu and stuffed into his mouth. He laughed sinisterly. Little bastard, do you think you can still live? Duan Tianyu's primordial spirit was destroyed. Yang Yu roared at the sky, his voice filled with determination. He turned to look at Shang Qingyun. Why didn't you save your subordinate? Throughout the entire process, Shang Qingyun only sneered in the air and didn't do anything at all, allowing this subordinate who had just helped him a great deal to be killed just like that. Colluding with others to attack the Star Lord is an unforgivable crime. Even if you didn't kill him, I would have killed him. Yang Yu said indifferently. But before you used the constellation life borrowing technique, he didn't know you were the Star Lord. It's only right that he attacked you together. He's already dead. Do you expect me to reason with him? Shang Qingyun said indifferently. Your physical body is already decaying, but you're talking to me and using this time to lock onto me? Yang Yu, I know very well what you're trying to do. Let's see if you can succeed. With the constellation life borrowing technique, I'm immortal. Shang Qingyun laughed. Brother Yang, leave immediately. There's still a chance. Han Song looked up at Yang Yu in the air and said tearfully, brother, you've already taken your revenge. Hurry and leave. Yang Yu turned around in the air, a reluctant smile on his face. If I leave all of you, we'll really be dead. Brother, take care. He took one last look at his brother, then suddenly turned and roared at the sky. Star-Lord, come. Let's go to the underworld hand in hand. Han Song suddenly burst into tears. The others also understood in their hearts. Shang Qingyun was now in perfect condition with the help of the constellation life borrowing technique. Their strength was really no match for him. Yang Yu wanted to use his last hope to fight for a chance of survival for everyone. Yang Yu roared and his entire body suddenly swelled like a balloon. He shot up into the sky like lightning and tangled with Shang Qingyun. Yang Yu, on the other hand, burned his own life essence spirit origin, turning everything he had into power. Even with Shang Qingyun's current speed and power, he still couldn't avoid him. With a loud roar, Shang Qingyun was actually hugged by Yang Yu. In the sky, Shang Qingyun cursed and hit Yang Yu hundreds of times consecutively. Yang Yu didn't dodge, only laughing loudly. Let's go. With a loud boom, Yang Yu's body suddenly exploded in the air. The unprecedentedly violent explosion instantly blew away the dark clouds in the sky. The clear sky for more than 100 miles revealed the clear night sky. In the air, Shang Qingyun's body was like a broken sack. He kept rolling in the air, roaring and yelling, but blood was flowing freely from all parts of his body. Even half of his neck was blown off. His chest, abdomen, limbs, shoulders, and even his head were all bleeding. But that beam of starlight that descended from the starry sky was still circling above his head, and a steady stream of power was still flowing into his body. All the injuries were rapidly healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. The power of the constellation life borrowing technique was actually so shocking. You self-destructed. Can you do anything to me? Shang Qingyun shouted crazily. As an expert, I'll fulfill your last heroic sacrifice on your last journey. So what? Bullshit. At such a close distance, under the lock of the self-destruction of the origin of life, do you think you can escape? Stop pretending to be a hero. Go. Han Song's face was full of tears and his eyes were bloodshot. We can't let him recover. We can't let him recover. If he recovers, Yang Yu's sacrifice will be in vain. Before he finished speaking, he roared and flew up with his sword. Mu Yanyan and the others also rushed up with red eyes. In the distance, sword light flashed. Qin Fengyang dragged his broken body over. Not only Qin Fengyang, but even Teacher Qiu also dragged his body that was missing half and joined the battle. Everyone knew that if they didn't kill the Star Lord, everyone present would die. Yang Yu's self-detonation was the last chance, and the only chance. Qin Fengyang, Mr. Qiu, Sun Baijiang, Han Song, Sister Lan, Mu Yanyan and Mu Yanyan's 3 senior brothers all rushed into the sky. Swords and sabers, fists and feet, all at the same time. At this moment, the 9 experts were all risking their lives and doing their best. In the sky, Shang Qingyun let out a long howl. His cultivation was undoubtedly much higher than anyone present here. But just now, Yang Yu's self-detonation had directly taken away half of his life. Even if he had the support of the constellation life borrowing technique to save his life, his combat strength was inevitably greatly reduced. Therefore, at this moment, under the siege of the 9 experts, he could only be beaten up and had no strength to fight back at all. But his vitality was really strong, and he was constantly injected with vitality by the starlight in the sky as the battle continued. The more the 9 experts fought, the colder their hearts became. This was because Shang Qingyun was clearly constantly injured, but his body instead showed a kind of situation where it was slowly recovering. The sky was full of blood, almost all of which was Shang Qingyun's blood, but his body, under the illumination of the starlight, was becoming more and more complete. Gradually he could even fight back. Then, his counterattacks became more and more powerful. Every punch and palm strike was as if it could split open a mountain. Bang bang bang. Qin Fengyang and Mr. Qiu were hit in the chest, and immediately fell from the sky with blood spurting out. The 2 of them were already seriously injured, and their physical strength was almost exhausted under the continuous fierce attacks. They were holding on with their last breath, and after being hit by the sudden counterattack, they were powerless and directly fell to the ground. The 2 of them leaned on each other on the ground, gasping for breath and trying their best to recover their physical strength. The 2 of them could not even fly, let alone fight. As long as Shang Qingyun found a gap, he would kill them with a raise of his hand, and there was no chance of luck. In the sky, the 7 people led by Han Song were circling around Shang Qingyun in a great battle. Everyone's hair was disheveled, and they were all in a sorry state. Even Sister Lan, who was always calm, was in a sorry state at this moment. Her face was pale. After a night of fighting, Sister Lan was also seriously injured, and was close to the point where she could not continue. However, under the illumination of the starlight, Shang Qingyun was fighting more and more bravely. Chapter 208. Bang! Mu Yanyan's senior brother groaned miserably. Shang Qingyun's palm hit him in the chest. At least 7 or 8 of his bones were broken, and he fell down with blood spurting out of his mouth. Han Song's face was mournful. He blocked at least 70% of Shang Qingyun's attack by himself, but his eyes were filled with despair. It's over. This battle they lost to the point where they couldn't lose again. The others were also spurting out blood. Shang Qingyun was still recovering bit by bit under the starlight. On the other hand, the people on his side could only continue to be weakened. Under this situation, there was no longer any suspense in this battle. Below, Qin Fengyang and Teacher Qiu's faces were heroic. They supported each other and stood up with difficulty, looking up at the battle in the sky. They could clearly feel it and see the situation. Tonight, if there were no accidents, they would definitely die. Shang Qingyun would definitely not let go of anyone here. But even if they died, they would die standing. The two looked at each other and smiled. Qin Fengyang said, "Teacher Qiu, it's nice to meet you. Unfortunately, it's a bit late." Teacher Qiu smiled faintly. "Qin Fengyang, my name is Qiu Yunshang. Don't forget it on the road to hell. People who don't remember their names will not be friends in the next life." Qin Fengyang laughed. As he laughed, blood spurted out of his mouth. "Qiu Yunshang, not bad, I'll remember it." Qiu Yunshang smiled faintly. "It's fine if I die. I only hate that I can't kill this demon. After you and I die, he will definitely stir up trouble in Phoenix City. I'm not satisfied." Qin Fengyang smiled and said absent-mindedly, "But in the future, his identity has been exposed, and he can't be as calm as before." That's true. The starlight was still circling and supporting Shang Qingyun. Shang Qingyun's face had even begun to regain its rosy color. The poison had already been removed by the starlight. The more he fought, the more powerful he became. Seeing that victory was in sight, he couldn't help but laugh wildly. "You think you can take my life with just the likes of you?" Suddenly he roared. The starlight on his body was unprecedentedly bright, shining in all directions. Under the illumination of the starlight, his entire body soared into the sky. "Watch my star transformation technique." Star transformation technique. Another Umno alliance technique. Han Song's face changed dramatically as he muttered, "Brother Yang, it turns out that we came together and left together. I'm sorry. I can't take care of your family for you." Countless rays of starlight rapidly condensed in Shang Qingyun's hands. He raised his head and roared, waving his hands. The vast starlight in his hands transformed into a brilliant dragon. They shook their heads and wagged their tails, their ferocity soaring to the sky. Even if everyone joined forces, they would not be able to resist such power. This devil had already recovered his full cultivation. Sister Lan, Mu Yanyan, Sun Baijiang and the others saw that the situation had come to this, but they regained their composure instead. They all smiled and looked at each other. There was only calmness in their eyes. "We have known each other in this life, and we have no regrets in this life. Today we will return together and we will meet again in the next life. See you in the next life." Everyone burst into laughter. Everyone knew that under this move, no one would be able to escape by luck. Down below, Qin Fengyang, who was barely holding on, laughed loudly. Good. I didn't expect that Qin Fengyang, would actually be able to leave first. It really makes me pleasantly surprised. Ha ha ha. Other than Sister Lan, no one knew what she meant. However, no one was in the mood to pursue this matter. There was a sharp sound of wind in the air. Shang Qingyun was like an overwhelming devil, descending from the sky with unprecedented power. "Go to hell." The starlight dragon whizzed down. At this moment, a very impatient voice said, "You called me here in such a hurry, just for this thing?" The voice was actually a little unhappy, as if it felt that it was a waste of talent. When everyone heard this voice in their despair, they were all stunned. What was this saying? The Umno Alliance's Star Lord Shang Qingyun's strength was tyrannical, and with the support of the Constellation Life Borrowing technique, his combat strength had skyrocketed. He was not any weaker than the peak of the Huayun realm. Looking at the entire Phoenix City, he was absolutely unparalleled. How did this person become a thing? However, at the same time that this sentence was spoken, the starlight dragon that was raging in the sky and rushing down suddenly froze in the air. It could not move at all. Then they saw a big hammer break through the air and appear. Whoosh! The moment this big hammer appeared, it had already smashed down on Shang Qingyun's head like a heavenly steed soaring across the sky. This strike did not seem to be fast, and its power did not seem to be strong. Everyone could clearly see that this big hammer appeared in the air, and then drew a semicircle arc in the air before smashing down on Shang Qingyun's head. Step by step, it was extremely clear. It looked as if even a child could easily dodge it. However, this hammer smashed down on Shang Qingyun's head solidly. Instantly. Poof! Shang Qingyun still had a savage smile on his face, and it did not disappear at all. However, his head was immediately smashed, and his brain juice burst out like a big watermelon smashed in the air. Countless amounts of blood bloomed in the surroundings like a flourishing flower. Thousands of peach blossoms bloomed in the sky. However, the hammer did not stop there. It crushed down all the way, and Shang Qingyun's smiling face instantly turned into nothingness. His chest was smashed, his shoulders collapsed, and his spine was clearly broken down. His lower abdomen, dantian, thighs. The sledgehammer smashed all the way to the bottom of Shang Qingyun's feet like crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. All in all, this hammer smashed the complacent Shang Qingyun from his head all the way to his feet. Not to mention his life, even his primordial spirit was smashed by the hammer. Shang Qingyun, who was still acting high and mighty just a moment ago, didn't even have time to react before he was smashed into smithereens by this sudden and miraculous hammer strike. When his corpse fell to the ground, there was only a thin layer of round meat pancake the size of a teacup cushion left behind. Patter! The meat pancake fell to the ground. At this moment, Han Song, Mu Yinyan, Qin Fangyang, Sun Baijiang and the rest all opened their eyes wide and were collectively stunned. On the ground, Qin Fangyang and Teacher Cho looked at the meat pancake that fell in front of them, and their 4 eyeballs almost flew out. This was Shang Qingyun? Damn! What was this situation? Why was it so mythical? And the big hammer that suddenly appeared, as if no one cared about it, also fell from the sky and fell into the soil. Han Song was shocked and hurriedly cupped his hands towards the sky. Thank you for your help, senior. Before he could finish his words, he heard the voice, go quickly, get out of here quickly. The heavenly law's counterattack is coming. Before he finished speaking, the sky seemed to have paused for a moment. It was as if a person had suddenly been shocked, astonished and stunned. Then like a violent rage. With a whoosh, extremely thick dark clouds gathered rapidly from the distant horizon. With a whoosh, the entire process only took about a second, and the entire sky was filled with dark clouds that were as thick as a mountain. Han Song was shocked when he saw this. Go quickly. He called everyone, pulled the injured, and fled outside as if their lives depended on it. It was also at this time that the dark clouds in the sky changed again, spinning rapidly, and immediately a huge eyeball appeared. The eyeball was dozens of miles in size. The big eyeball hung in the sky looking down and back. After a while, all of its attention was focused on the big hammer on the ground. Then, a bolt of lightning suddenly lit up, from the east to the west, connecting to the horizon, and concentrated in the dark clouds with a swoosh. In an instant, the entire dark cloud turned into a crystal ball that was filled with electricity. It was extremely resplendent. Boom! Tens of thousands of lightning bolts struck down in unison. Every bolt of lightning was at least as thick as a water tank. It was really a real thunderbolt, real and not fake. Boom boom boom. Han Song, Mu Yinyan, Sister Lan and the others had already flown thousands of feet away. Obviously they were so far away, but they still felt dizzy and then fainted from the shock. Even Han Song, who had the highest cultivation among them, only lasted for 2 breaths before following in the footsteps of his companions. His eyes rolled back as he fainted on the ground. The earth rumbled and trembled. Everyone's unconscious bodies were bounced up and down from the ground from time to time. Fortunately, the target of all the lightning was only one, and that was the big hammer that killed Shang Qingyun. They focused on one point, and in the center of the lightning there was a dazzling and blazing light. The big hammer was shining brightly, but under such bombardment, the head of the hammer did not move at all, and was not damaged at all. The sky was full of oppressive sounds, and purple thunderbolts came down like the Milky Way, endlessly. Looking from afar, the lightning connected the sky and the earth together. He couldn't even tell if the lightning was falling from the sky or surging from the ground. The senior that Han Song had mentioned, Wu Taijiang, was lying in a pit with a pale complexion. He didn't dare to move an inch. However, he was cursing Zhuo Zhonglu's entire family in his heart. Fuck, how could there be such a huge entanglement of karma? Fuck. How could a star master of the Shao Umno Alliance involve such a huge karma? The tribulation I appeared. Now the heavenly Tao was directly attacking. Fuck. Fortunately, before I attacked, I had already cut off the divine soul connection with the natal hammer. Now the hammer was equivalent to an ownerless object. Otherwise, looking at the intensity of the lightning and its relentless strength, I would definitely die today. Fucking Zhuo Chonglu. Wu Taijiang cursed in his heart. This is fucking cheating me. If I were to die here because of a Star Lord, that would be such a shame. Wu Taijong stuck close to the ground. His expression changed again and again, just like a Sichuan opera. Fuck fuck fuck. Feeling the ground trembling violently beneath him, Wu Taijong cursed. Cold sweat began to drip down from his forehead. Late at night, I was sleeping after working all day. Suddenly, Zhuochanglu sent his daughter to knock on my door, begging me to save him. They said that one of their own is in grave danger. Originally, when I heard the sounds of battle over there, it was quite lively. Although it's beneath my dignity to get involved in the battle of the younger generation, for old Zhuo's sake, I didn't mind coming. But fucking, how did I offend the heavenly Tao? Chapter 209. The lightning continued to strike down, and the ground within a radius of a few thousand miles shook violently. Gradually, the entire Phoenix City was shaken. Countless people woke up from their dreams, and even some tall buildings began to sway left and right. The shaking became more and more intense. Many tall buildings were like roly-poly toys, slowly tilting to the left. Then the people in the buildings, along with their beds and furniture, slid over with a whoosh and hit the wall with a bang. Then the buildings slowly came back, slowly tilting to the right. Then they slid back like they were on a slide and hit the wall with a bang. More than 90% of the people were scared out of their wits by this miraculous situation. In addition, looking out from the windows, all the tall buildings were dancing Yanko. That scene was as scary as it could get. After tonight, those who had a little extra money would buy a bungalow. In the next few years, the price of the tall buildings in Phoenix City would be as cheap as cabbages, but no one would be interested in it. Of course, this was a story for another day. That the lightning continued to strike for an hour. Wu Tiezhong's big iron hammer was really strong, and there was no change at all. If not for the hammer's handle being burned red and melted into a pool of molten iron, leaving only the hammer head on the ground, people would have doubted the lethality of the lightning. Finally, the rain stopped and the clouds dispersed, and the lightning stopped striking. That huge eye formed by the clouds was still hanging in the sky, as if it was still looking down. After another 5 or 6 minutes, it finally disappeared. The hurricane blew, and the dark clouds in the sky disappeared completely. There was no cloud in the sky for thousands of miles. After a long time, Wu Taijong crawled out of the pit. His face was covered in cold sweat, and his clothes were already soaked in sweat. Too close. It was just a slight mistake, and my life was almost lost here. If I didn't think one more step, and was a little more cautious, erasing the soul connection, I'm afraid I would be dead by now. Fucking Zhuochanglu. Fucking Zhuochanglu. Wu Taijong was indignant, and he kept cursing. I'm here to work for you and you still want to exploit me. Not only do you exploit me, you even want to take my life. Do I have to send people labor, materials, and even my life? Son of a bitch. This is great. I've used a hammer my whole life, and now I'm only left with the hammerhead. Wu Taijong staggered over and looked at the bottom of the pit. Originally it was pitch black without any luster. Now it had been polished by the lightning into a shining hammer. He was speechless for a long time. This is eternal iron, said to be indestructible. Now it's been ground into bright silver. Wiping his cold sweat, he picked up the hammer and sneakily ran away. Wu Taijong was still in a state of shock when he ran back to the blacksmith shop. He sat on the chair and gasped for breath, cold sweat dripping down his body. His big eyeballs rolled around in confusion, and a thought came to his mind uncontrollably. Should I run away now? This place is too dangerous. Bang bang bang. Someone knocked on the door. Wu Taijong sighed and opened the door to see Zhuo Xiaonian standing outside. Seeing this, Wu Taijong instinctively jumped back 3 steps, his face full of vigilance. What? What's the matter again? Fuck, please don't do it again. I can't take it anymore. Zhuo Xiaonian was startled by his reaction and almost exclaimed. She asked timidly, I want to ask Uncle. My master. Are they okay? They're fine. They're all lying there. Wu Taijong was a little impatient. There was a sudden change in that place and I don't know if they're alive or not. There's no danger over there, you can go and see for yourself. By the way, tell your father not to bother me if there's nothing important. Bang! The door was closed without a trace of elegance. Outside the doors, Xiaoyan was stunned. Suddenly she jumped up like crazy and flew over there. That's Wu family. The moment the eye appeared in the sky, Zhuochanglu could no longer maintain his usual elegance and blurted out, "Fuck! How could this happen? Did it damage the foundation?" Mr. Zhua, who was frightened, walked around the room like a headless fly, his face full of anxiety. Please don't let anything happen to Wu Taijiang. That if Wu Taijiang died here because of this, it would be the biggest joke in the last 100 years. People from the UMNO alliance would probably die of laughter. Outside the window, lightning kept roaring, lighting up the sky and the earth. As far as the eye could see, all the buildings were swaying like grass in the wind, swaying gracefully. Ghostly wails and howls could be heard from the various buildings on the other side. There was actually someone who wasn't afraid of death. Holding a live broadcast stick with a face full of excitement, he said, Brothers, Phoenix City is currently experiencing a special type of earthquake that is rarely seen in thousands of years. Dancing floor. Please double-click. I'm Big Black Pig. I'm risking my life to broadcast. Everyone, please follow me. Start Lulu, I want to see your gifs. Oh, you've seen people dancing, but have you seen dancing floor? The lightning kept roaring, and it was getting more and more intense. Finally, Zhuochanglu could not sit still anymore. He strode out and said, I have to go and see. I'll go with you. Zhuoxiaoduo jumped out of the window. That night, almost 4 million people in Phoenix City were doomed to be unable to sleep. The lightning stopped when the father and son were halfway down the stairs. Zhuochanglu, who was even more anxious, rushed with Zhuoxiaoduo's help to Tiejiang's blacksmith shop. He knocked on the door and asked, Old Wu, are you back? The door opened with a bang, revealing Wu Tiejiang's extremely aggrieved face. He begged with all his might, Brother Zhua, can you spare me? What else do you want? Zhuochanglu breathed a sigh of relief and said, You're not dead. That's good. That's good. Wu Taijiang leaned against the door frame. His legs were shaking, and his face was pale. Brother Zhua, look at my legs and then look at my face. Can't you tell me what you want me to do? If I wasn't careful, I'd be dead now. Zhuochanglu coughed a few times, a little embarrassed. He laughed and said, It won't happen again. Don't worry. Next time? There's a next time? Wu Taijiang jumped up. Brother Zhua, I'm sorry. I can't stay here any longer. It's not that I don't want to help, it's just that. My life. Zhuochanglu glared at him. Huh? You haven't finished hammering yet? Wu Taijiang slid down the door frame like a noodle slipping into a pot. He wanted to cry but had no tears. Brother Zhua, please be magnanimous and treat this little brother like a fart. This little brother is timid. Just now I was so scared that I peed. Wu Tiejiang's face was distorted. Honestly, he was not lying at all. I, Wu Taijiang, am a gay tyrant. How could I go against the heavenly Tao? If you want to get rid of me, it will be as easy as crushing an ant. Okay, it's okay. I won't call you next time, okay? Zhuochanglu hurriedly comforted him. Then he said, Since you're okay, I'll go back. Your sister-in-law. Can you not mention my sister-in-law? Can you not mention my sister-in-law? Can you not mention her for no reason? Wu Taijiang was even more aggrieved. Yes. Xiaoduo, say goodbye to your Uncle Wu. Goodbye, Uncle Wu. Go quickly. Let me have some peace. With a bang, the door closed again. Behind the door, Wu Taijiang wiped his face and murmured, Comparisons are odious. Compared to me, little Bear Nan is so happy. I thought I was just a deliverer man, but in the end, I almost got myself killed. On the way home, Zhuoxiaoduo kept looking at his father. In fact, since Uncle Nan came last time, Zhuoxiaoduo had been wondering if his parents were some kind of powerful people living in seclusion here. How could ordinary people have friends like that? Zhuoxiaoduo expressed his sincere doubts. However, after what happened tonight, Zhuoxiaoduo no longer had any doubts. Tonight's situation had obviously reached a rather serious stage. This was the first time in his life that he had seen his father's anxiety and his mother's panic. However, even under such circumstances, Zhuochanglu had been running all the way. He was so tired that his heart was about to stop. Yet, he was only displaying the speed and strength of a martial master. This was definitely not a pretense. Zhuo was completely sure of this. If it wasn't for his help in the last part of the journey, he wouldn't have been able to finish it. There are two possibilities. Either my parents are really ordinary people. It's just a coincidence that I made friends with a lot of great experts. Although it's a bit ridiculous, it's not impossible. Zhuo thought to himself. As for the second possibility, that is, the two of them were originally experts but for some reason they were crippled and lived here in seclusion, living a peaceful life. Personally, I'm more inclined to the second possibility. But if it's the second possibility, it should be a sad thing for my parents. Zhuo had a new goal. I have to find out the truth when I have time. If it's just because they were seriously injured or sealed, I can find another way to solve it. This may be a good thing. If it's possible, I can let my parents go on the road of cultivation again. Then our family can go on the road together, and no one will be left behind. But this must be done secretly. My parents are willing to be ordinary and keep it a secret for so many years. There must be a reason. If they are exposed because of me, they will attract a big enemy. It'll be too late for me to kill myself. As the saying goes, you know the enemy when you see one. Based on the level of Uncle Nan and Uncle Wu, my parents' enemy must be very, very scary. It's definitely not something that my sister or I can handle. Chapter 210. On the other side. Zhuo ran all the way and soon came to the center of the thunder and lightning. Looking around, it was a scene of devastation and ruins. Some places were directly turned into small lakes, and water was gurgling out of the ground. The surrounding hundreds of miles were all razed to the ground. Well, it should be a basin. The more Zhuo looked, the more panic she felt. She didn't know what to do. If it was like this, then what would happen to the people? Master! Master! Are you okay? Master! Forcing himself to calm down, he shouted anxiously as he searched around. Suddenly, his eyes narrowed as he found a tattered body. He walked over to take a look. Who else could it be but Qin Fengyang, who had fallen into a deep coma? At this moment, Teacher Qin was covered in wounds and was on the verge of death. He only had one last breath left. Zhuo quickly put down a healing elixir and pulled Qin Fengyang's broken body out of the pit like pulling out a radish. She put it aside and then anxiously went to find the others. It took nearly 10 minutes to rescue all the people who were still alive. Muyanyan, Sister Lan, 3 brothers, Teacher Qiu, who only had half of his body left, and son Baijiang, who had 80% of his bones broken. Then there was Han Song, who was still intact compared to everyone else. Zhuo persevered and continued his search. In the end, he dug out the dying Jiang Zhongbin from a large pit. Zhuo still didn't give up and continued to search. After searching several times, she confirmed that there were no other discoveries. The reason he came to this conclusion was probably because he had found 3 spatial rings in the largest and centermost pit. Zhuo put them into her space ring. She didn't want to keep them, but she wanted to see what was in them and confirm their identities. Anyway, there must be people on her side. After the search and rescue, Zhuo checked again and confirmed that everyone was still alive. She almost cried with joy. But she couldn't move so many people alone. The first call she made was to Zhuo. Call a car. Zhuo suddenly turned into a robber. This was something that couldn't be helped. After experiencing such an earth-shattering change, the people of Phoenix City were at their lowest point. Who would be willing to send out a carriage? It took a lot of courage to even walk out the door, okay? The drivers would rather die than go out. Zhuo turned into a demon and repeated himself 7 or 8 times, "If you don't go, I'll kill your whole family." Then, after smashing 5 or 6 tea tables, they managed to gather 6 cars. They ran all the way and finally arrived at their destination. Then they lifted everyone into the cars one by one. At this time, Sister Lan and Han Song woke up. Han Song's cultivation was the highest among them, but Sister Lan was the one who suffered the lightest injuries, so she was the first to wake up. Once the 2 of them woke up, it was easy to handle the rest. First, they informed Second Hai and He Yuanyue that they were safe. Then they informed Star Shield to gather medicinal herbs to treat everyone's injuries. The series of events were messy yet orderly, in perfect order. When the people from Star Shield arrived, the few drivers who were coerced by Zhuo took the reward and went home with a stomach full of fear. They all felt that they had been fucked. This is actually a government matter. I thought I met a kidnapper. That's right, it's the first time I've seen a government worker like this. He came to my house and smashed a tea table. Then he twisted my neck and asked me to send out a carriage. If you're a government official, you should have said so earlier. Yeah, I thought I wouldn't be able to go back in this lifetime. How rare. He actually went home safely and there's even a reward. That's right, that kid's face is too young. He looks like a half-grown kid, and he's quite good-looking. That's right, that's right. Along the way to Star Shield, almost everyone from Star Shield moved together. All kinds of healing medicine and nutrition cabins went into action together. It was only at this moment that Zhuo Xiaonian and Zhuo Xiaoduo were temporarily relieved. Zhang Zhongbin woke up very quickly. However, he would rather wake up a little later. It was better not to wake up at all. This was because Sister Lan and Han Song had woken up earlier than him. As a result, both He Yuanyue and Jiang Wenzhou were waiting for his call back. Also Wan Pingyuan Monkey-san, Koff, Director Son of the Martial Arts Bureau Sun Fengho were all waiting for his call back. Director Zhang grabbed his phone and thought about the four of them. Then, he tilted his head and fainted again. Unfortunately, he didn't faint for long this time. He was slapped awake. Jiang Zhongbin's eyes widened. He looked over and saw Jiang Wenzhou's big bald head. His face was flustered and exasperated. He was panting, and his eyes looked as if he wanted to eat someone. What's going on? The director of the Star Shield General Administration had actually come in such a hurry. The horns at the entrance of Star Shield were already blaring. The car from Second High had arrived. He Yuanyue had personally rushed to Star Shield. The car from the Martial Arts Bureau had also arrived. Sun Fengho had personally come as well. There was also Wan Pingyuan, who rushed in with big strides. His face was full of anxiety. There were also various departments in the military that, in short, all the influential people in Phoenix City were gathering here. Yu Fatijiang had caused such a big commotion and almost destroyed the entire Phoenix City. Now you want to pretend to be unconscious? No way. In the end, everyone gathered in the conference room. Jiang Wenzhou pried open Jiang Zhongbin's mouth and stuffed 17 to 18 pills into his stomach. Then he poured down 2 big bowls of water. Jiang Wenzhou directly carried him to the conference room and pressed him down on a chair. Tell me what's going on. Jiang Wenzhou's bald head was smoking. This bastard. It was fine if he didn't move, but once he moved he poked a hole in the sky. After this battle of the 2 dragon blood guards that had just been sent over Han Song and Yang Yu, one was dead and the other was seriously injured. Yang Yu had even died in the form of his soul being destroyed. He could not be more dead. This kind of loss was no small matter. When Jiang Wenzhou heard about this, he smashed his phone on the spot. Then he anxiously looked for a Yunhua expert and flew over. No matter what, this matter was related to his son. Father and son were connected by heart. This was not just a saying. Not to mention that this matter itself had already reached the level of reaching the heavens. Jiang Zhongbin finally became more clear-headed. The medicinal effects of the many pills that he had been forced to drink gradually began to take effect. He wiped his face with a cold towel and looked at the entire conference room filled with people. Finally, he said tiredly, Governor Wan of the governor's office, Principal He of the second high school, Director Son of the Martial Arts Administration, and the leaders from the general administration stay. The rest of the unrelated people leave. Today's matter is classified as top secret. Please forgive us. In the military, the Phoenix City Military Division commander pointed at his own nose. What about me? I also have to leave. Yes. Good, you fatty Jiang. The commander was so angry that his nose was crooked. He stood up and walked out in large strides. You wait. Seeing that the commander had left, the others didn't say any more nonsense and all obediently left. The only person who participated in the battle was Han Song, who had just recovered some strength but still looked lifeless. The doors and windows were closed. The communication equipment was confiscated. The entire space instantly became an absolutely sealed secret room. It wasn't until now that Jiang Zhongbin began to slowly explain the whole matter. From the beginning, when He Yuanyue had discovered the aura, To the beginning of the battle. Governor Wan's face began to change, turning green, red, and black. Shang Qingyun? Star Master? When these 5 words were put together, Governor Wan's head exploded with all kinds of colors and emotions. In the end, his face became abnormally gray. He said powerlessly, "Is this matter accurate?" Jiang Zhongbin nodded solemnly. Han Song's face was still as pale as a corpse's, but he was a cloud transformation cultivator after all. He had recovered some strength by now. He said, "Shang Qingyun is undoubtedly a member of the UMNO Alliance and a Star Master. The constellation life borrowing technique he used proves this point. What's uncertain now is which star in the UMNO Alliance's constellation he belongs to." Hearing Han Song's words, Governor Wan Pingyuan seemed to have aged several years. It was as if all his essence, qi, and spirit had been sucked out in an instant. He closed his eyes. What flashed in his mind were the bits and pieces of his acquaintance with Shang Qingyun for so many years. The support they had in life and death situations, the discussions they had encountered, the conversations they had on the table, the contributions Shang Qingyun had made to the residents over the years, the education he had given the children. Finally, 2 teardrops fell. He muttered, "Why are you a member of the UMNO Alliance?" Wan Pingyuan, who could become the governor of a city, was naturally not a fool. Governor Wan Pingyuan knew that since Shang Qingyun had been so scheming, sneaking into Phoenix City so early and lying in ambush beside him, he naturally had a major conspiracy. But even though he already knew that the other party had ulterior motives, and even more sinister ones, he still couldn't bring himself to hate him. The only thing he felt was heartache. For this operation, I went to great lengths to gather 2 veteran experts of Phoenix City's Star Shield, nascent soul stage experts. But these 2 people have already been killed by Shang Qingyun. Also, second high school's teacher Qin Fongyang and teacher Lan. It was all thanks to old Principal He's help that they were able to come here. This time they have done a great service. Martial Arts Bureau Chief's son, Jiang Zhongbin, coughed. His gaze was evasive. Sun Fingho's face was as calm as water. The veins on his forehead were bulging. "I just want to know, how is my brother now?" Cough, cough. Jiang Zhongbin avoided Sun Fingho's gaze and said, "He's still alive. Still alive." Bureau Chief's son jumped up in anger. "Big-faced Jiang. You motherfucker. You. Fuck your father, what did you tell me you?" Star Shield's director Jiang Wenzhou coughed and knocked on the table. He said solemnly, "This is an important matter. Don't scold people." He secretly glanced at Chief Sunday. This kid's guts are quite big. Requesting for monthly votes. Sigh, I'm a little disappointed. I thought that the first monthly votes would be in the tens of thousands. But now it seems that it's only 8,600. There's still a little more than a day left. I'm afraid it'll be difficult. Everyone do your best. Whatever you can do, thank you.